So hi, official hello, and welcome back to the Doodle Crew. Woohoo! For those of us who just hung out, we were here a couple days ago, but we're back again with a new lineup and new fun stuff, new faces, new art. Woohoo! I'm excited about this one. I also am excited because I picked this topic and had such great ideas for it and then completely neglected it. And then recently it was like, oh, so what are we doing for it? I'm like, no idea. So here we are. Here we are. We're throwing out video game characters. That's the challenge. That's as much as we've got to offer you. So chat, as always, if you have suggestions or ideas, throw them at us. We always appreciate that. And but yeah, in true Doodle Crew fashion, we're going to go around, introduce everybody, and then we'll get into it. So Nicole, starting with you, who are you and where can they find you?
Hi, I'm Nicole, and you can find me at Mayor Squish on Twitch and Twitter and now Instagram.
Woo-hoo! Yeah. Are you still doing Etsy stuff with your sale, or are you...
It is running.
Yeah.
So, yes?
Yes, find her Etsy shop. Buy her stickers. They're awesome. Also watercolors. Yeah, and so who did you decide to do for your video game character today?
So I picked a game, and I have a concept in mind, but I'm not sure it's going to work, so I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. But the game is Forager, which is like a cutesy pixel art farming/fighting game. It's adorable. So I hope it works out.
Yay! I'm excited. Yes. And as I said to you before we came on stream, literally like, I have this idea, I hope that it works, is pretty much how I approach every piece of art ever. So, in good company. So, jumping over to newly branded Flutie Mage. Hi, Joey. How are you?
Hi, I'm Joey. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Flutie Mage. I'm doing well, Em. Thank you for having me back on the Doodle Crew.
Heck yeah! Well, when it came to video game characters, I felt like that one had to have Joey on it. So for those of you who are not as familiar with Joey's work, Joey does some really fantastic video game art on oh my gosh, I can't even think of the little cards, the sketch cards and prints and your video game stuff is just awesome. So yeah.
Today I'm gonna do Femv from Cyberpunk 2077.
Ooh,
yeah!
With a JoJo flair.
Ooh, much excite. Yeah, and so coming up this week on Thursday morning, if you want to see more Joey and our lovely chatter, I saw them pop up. There you go. Slaying Dragons in the AM.
Somewhere.
Yeah, hi Hunter. If you want to hang out with Joey and Hunter, check them out over at Slaying Dragons in the AM on Twitch. Right?
Yep. And then Slaying Dragons in the morning everywhere else. Where we talk about pop culture and D&D.
I like it. All right. So Sarah, on to you.
I'm Sarah. You can find me on Tumblr or my website, Sarah Will Design. Do all the comics. I was thinking about doing all the OG Smash Brothers characters, duking it out.
Ooh.
Unless someone else is doing that, then I have a backup idea.
No, I think you're safe. Yeah. That's exciting. Oh, gosh. You know, I would like to say I was just bad at the OG Smash Brothers, but I'm consistently bad at all Smash Brothers.
Just Smash.
It's just, nope, that one. I am so good at button mashing at so many things. Not that one. Nope. So, I'm excited to see that. Yay. And brand new human who we got all technically inputted and virtual. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Hello, it's me. I'm doing okay. I'm working on a I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Aaron. Everybody knows me as Doc, so like some people are probably like, that's his name? Like that he actually has like a legit name. Yes. And I am working, like I can be found on airdocspringer.com. Or I do Twitch stuff every once in a while on Doc Draws Art at twitch.twitch.tv. And today I have a mashup, like the next mashup that I'm working on is going to be called Overwatchman. So I'm practicing my Overwatch characters.
Nice. Oh, I like that. Yes. So if you are a fan of ridiculous mashups, I think we were saying this earlier, but also definitely check out Aaron's website for lots and lots of insane mashups. You find him there. Yeah, and joining us again, coming in with the pinch hit, which I super appreciate. We had one of our artists had to attend to their loin fruits, and so Paul graciously stepped in and joined us. So hi, Paul.
Hi, hello.
Welcome back. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I don't art, but I talk. I mean, that's what I do.
You talk good and stuff.
Sometimes.
But hey, speaking of, you have a fun thing coming up recently that might not be drawn, but is going to be super fun.
Oh, would you be segueing into allowing me to plug the Crash Test Pilots world premiere on the internet live stream?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, this Saturday at 5 Eastern, we are going to be having the lovely A Swan Named Emily and the lovely Stephanie. It rhymes with granola.
Granola.
Okay, there you go. She got me. She covered me.
I got you.
Yep. And we're going to have both of these lovely ladies on with Nicole and I, and we're going to talk about all things New Who for probably about 2 hours. It should be a lot of fun.
All the Doctor Who's, which is awesome. And I mean, I can say it because I personally enjoy it. Nicole and Paul run the Crash Test Pilots podcast, where they watch pilot episodes of TV shows and talk about them and give great information and have a ton of fun. And it's super fun. So definitely check that out on the podcatcher of your choice. They've got a whole range of ones and a whole bunch of shows I haven't watched yet. So I have to watch the show first before I can check out that episode. But yeah, it's super fun.
Speaking of pilots, that just reminds me of, like, do you remember how many times, like, me and Ronco and Andre and everybody watched the Adventure Time pilot in college?
Yes.
I still remember that. Like, we watched it, we were just like, this show would be amazing if they ever made it. And then, like,
they did. Like
8-10 years later, they ended up making it.
It was longer than it should have been, but also, and so Kristen is in chat, but Sarah remembers, I'm pretty sure it played on endless loop in the tutor lab. Like, one of the computers in the tutor lab always was playing that 9-minute pilot because we're just, like, I had it memorized.
Algebraic!
Absolutely. Yeah, that was, and now it's a super popular show, which is just insane to me. But yeah. So yeah, you want to check out other cool pilots, definitely check out Crash Test Pilots. And come hang out with us this coming Saturday, which I don't have the date, but I know things.
It
the
is
17th. Yeah. And just because it's official, you know me. I am at A Swan Named Emily. I was bad. I skipped my Friday stream this week, but I'm back here, and I was there on Thursday. So there's still content. And Doodle Crew stuff is up on my YouTube page if you want to check out old episodes and see that. But also, if you want to see awesome Doodle Crew art from all the artists that we create on stream, follow us across the internet at Doodle Crew Draw. So Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to see the art posts of stuff that we've been doing. And it's cool because we've had the opportunity to have a couple of episodes and get ahead, so you're getting kind of throwback art to stuff we did in previous episodes, which is a lot of fun. Which also is nice because it gives me a chance to finish stuff that I don't finish on stream, which happens more than I would like to admit. But yes, also you can head over to our /Doodle Crew, and that has links to all the artists if you want to follow people. Also, if you ever have any questions about any of the artists you see on stream or have seen in previous episodes, hit us up, send us a message, and we can direct you to their socials. So yeah, and I decided to completely play in my own wheelhouse because I'm a big weenie and didn't want to move outside of it. So I'm trying Samus from Metroid. So I'm like, I could draw something else, but I'm gonna draw a girl. Let's just be honest. And I wore blue to match.
Like your Zero suit.
My Zero suit. Which, unless I start going to the gym 7 days a week, I don't think I would fit into that. But I'll take this t-shirt that I cut up for a dance costume once. That's as close as we get. But,
yeah. Where can I order a greater than zero suit?
I need like an 11 suit.
Yeah. Maybe I can just order like 3 of them and cut them apart and sew them back together. It's fine. It's funny though. So after one of the most recent episodes of In Addition where we talked about cosplay, I've definitely been like noodling around with different cosplay things I could do for Dragon Con. I'm just like, I kind of want to do it. And I've got the time. I could make it happen. So, not Samus. Let's just no.
Are you going to go deep down the rabbit hole and start playing with EVA foam and stuff?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Warbler.
I think I'm gonna. A lot of it's gonna be very like low budget at the start, and just characters that I can kind of pull outfits that I already have similar things to. But I'm tempted. I can't sew. I can't sew for shit. So, Kia Creation says blah warbler. Speaking of someone who is a very talented cosplayer and costume maker, so
I don't know. I messed around with some Warble. I got a Doctor Doom mask in my car whenever randomly when I'm like, you know what, I need to wear a mask because we all have to wear masks. But yeah, I got a Doctor Doom mask in my car that I made out of Warbler that like I was pretty happy with it. Warbler. Of course, I haven't done a little with Eva. I've done a lot with like Bondo and Resin. I might have given my neighbor cancer in Pittsburgh. But, like, that's okay, because I'm pretty sure that they were smoking dope or something anyway, so it's cool. They're used to weird smells in the basement.
I was gonna say, I only ever used Bondo to fix my car, so...
Oh, yeah, I used to make like, crazy, like I'd make the paper helmets and then cover them with, like, resin, and then once it dried, like, you fill it with Bondo and resin, like, mixed together, and then you sand everything down. It like I made a helmet I could stand on at one point.
Jesus. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I wanted to roll back. So welcome Simkin and Dell. Hi. Simkin threw out a great one, which I might totally steal because I love it. He said, I would love to see a mashup of the two games I've been playing recently, Monster Hunter and Hunt Showdown. So I don't know Hunt Showdown, but
I've never heard of Hunt Showdown.
I love Monster Hunter. It's so fun. And also, I like the idea of the characters showing up in the wrong game. Like, very Wreck-It Ralph, which I'm here for. So...
Well, I mean, Monster Hunter has some of the crazy stuff, like Geralt from Witcher, and the Resident Evil characters are in Monster Hunter.
Oh no, draw a super hot guy without his shirt on? What would I do? Oh.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Showdown would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They have a closer pedigree than you would think.
Okay.
So, as the resident Hunt Showdown expert, I'll tell you basically that it's a multiplayer PvEVP game set. It's a shooter. It's first-person shooter with PvE elements where you have to gather clues and then kill boss monsters while other people try to come and kill you and collect the bounty. And it's got a really cool like. The art style, the art direction is incredible.
Is it computer?
It's on computer and consoles, and it is basically it's an alternate history, late 1800s in the Bayou of Louisiana.
Oh, Steve's people.
Yeah, Steve's people. So it's it's got a kind of a different pace to a lot of the shooters that are out there because it's using old timey guns, stuff that don't go pew 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 so much as they go pew, reload. Pew, and such.
Which and I will forever hear the Area 51 like cabinet game where it was reload and you had to shoot. Like that's how reload always plays in my head. Reload.
There's some like tactical operators out there that grew up on that literally go through that goes through their mind every time they reload on the range or something. They're like,
it has to. It has
reload.
Also, I got to play that game again, like within the last couple of years. I'm like, this is terrible. I still love it so much. I love it so much. So yeah, good times. But that sounds cool. I could also see how Monster Rancher would actually like work with that in a weird way. So
no, yeah. Not Monster Rancher. I don't think. I thought you said Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter. Yes. Sorry. Well, now I'm just.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard of Monster Hunter, like my buddy was like, "It's on Game Pass." Let's play Monster Hunter. Monster Rancher kept going into my mind the entire time. I'm just like, you put discs from other things in, and you get monsters.
I mean, yeah, I would be here for that. But. I loved Monster Hunter. Also, I love that terrible TV show. I watched the shit out of that. It wasn't terrible. It was just...
Has anybody seen the Monster Hunter film?
No.
I'm scared.
I'm not. I mean, it's shades of Resident Evil. It looks like.
Well, it's got Mila Jovovich, so of course it's going to be bad. But like,
like they put her in movies that are, Resident Evil, and I feel like it's going to be exactly like that.
I don't think she's allowed. Like, there's this cosmic truth. I don't think she's allowed to make a good film, quote unquote.
Since Fifth Element, yeah.
Which
but
only get one.
I feel like also that movie, like she was great in that movie, but it is not great because of her.
No.
Like she benefits from the insanity of it and a really well done casting and just
I think Ruby Rod is the reason that movie succeeded.
Yeah, that film is definitely carried by Bruce Willis, Chris Tucker, and Sir Ian Holm, I think. So yeah. That's she got to kind of. And
I mean, shout out to Gary Oldman for being once again completely unrecognizable in another role where I'm just like, but how? How are you so good?
4 stones, 4 crates. 0 stones, 0 crates.
Dell in chat says apparently Chris Tucker almost quit on his first day.
Oh my gosh.
That would be that's horrible.
Was Bruce Willis being a dick to him too?
What? Here's the thought. All right.
And Gary Oldman only did the film for quid pro quo. Interesting.
What was his? What did?
What was his quid?
I mean, at least he had fun with it. You could tell he had fun with it.
He had to. Oh, Del Melon. I don't know how you say it. It's super cute. I'm sorry. I can. My hair does that sometimes when I don't want it to. Also, Kia Creations had said the characters from Reboot showing up in modern games. Here for that. Would 100% would enjoy that.
I haven't watched Reboot since I was young. And
I remember so much about that game or that TV show. Like I remember the Evil Dead crossover episode. Oh man, that show.
If anything from our childhood is due a reboot, it is Reboot.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I would want to like a lot because they would make it so realistic, and I would be afraid. I'd be afraid that they would it would look too good.
Well, there's no risk of that with the original. So, but I also my hope would be because something beautiful about the show was it was at a time when like the technology was kind of so new that a lot of the stuff was a little bit ridiculous, but they leaned into it. So I feel like if you don't lean into the ridiculousness and keep the humor, at least for some of it, like you would miss out on what made it good. Oh yeah. I remember that. Kia Creation says there was a live action reboot and it streamed on Netflix and it was, it just tanked. It was.
Yeah. I didn't even, I don't think I watched it.
Yeah, it was. But
you know it's bad when something that you say should be rebooted was rebooted and you
got a reboot and you didn't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it and I was like, I don't really want to. Was that the one that like I think I may have watched one episode where they ended up going and they were like kids in a classroom or something and then they teleported, like I can't remember if that was the one. I might have watched an episode of it.
Or Magic School Bus. That was also the plot of Magic School Bus.
Yeah, it was like kids in a classroom, and then they would just like teleport virtually into like this world and defend it or something.
I don't know. I will admit I did not check it out at all because it did not look good. But Yeah, so Paul, if you end up going back and watching any of it, like the animation part of it is going to be rough because it's it's Beast Wars levels. It's so.
I was just gonna say, like, I had a friend who just recently got into Beast Wars, and he was like watching the TV show, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be hard to watch.
Yeah, it's
like there's some things like I can go and watch the Batman the Animated Series, and I'm still like, damn, like hot jambalaya. Yeah. This is incredible.
Yeah, that holds up though.
Yeah.
But they're talking about making a new like making a spin-off of it, like continuing the series for HBO Max.
I mean, as long as you get Bruce Timm, I'm pretty much on board.
Well, I say you got to have Bruce Timm and you got to have Paul Dini, because like they were really the drivers behind it. And I would almost say, because it's for HBO Max, I'd worry that they would go too heavy into the adult themes. Like, I feel as though kind of what made that show was how they got around the censors.
Yeah.
By changing to the noir aspect, doing all that, because when they made their own like standalone movie, they made like Batman and Harley Quinn, and I don't know if anybody watched that movie.
I love that movie.
The one that just came out, oh god, it was so hard to watch. Like Harley Quinn was like, oh, I'm gonna sex Nightwing up, and like I'm farting for justice.
I'm sorry, I unabashedly loved it because it was ridiculous and amazing.
It was, but I'm just like, man, like if they would have hinted at it without going, because like that kind of showed me what they would go full blown, and I'm like, man, I feel as though the hints and stuff really kind of let everything, it made them make it better to work around the.
Well, I mean, you look at the he who, as Steve says, farting for justice. Like I think about the Suicide Squad DC animated movie was much more mature. I mean, it had hints of sex between two of the main characters, Harley Quinn included. So I think it is something you can have that, but my hope for the series is they would keep the series as it was and continue that feel and that noir look. And if you want to make the movies more intense, then make the movies more intense. There's nothing wrong with that. So.
Yeah, because like the Harley Quinn show was entertaining as heck. Like that was very entertaining on HBO. Well, it was on DC Universe, but like they just had like that was very adult, but it was quite entertaining and hilarious to watch. So like I can understand, them doing that, but yeah, I would like to see them, actually keep true to the. It's almost like that what was it, the Killing Joke movie, where they just randomly introduced this whole aspect of like Batman and Batgirl getting it on, and it's like that was not in the. That's one aspect where it's like, I wish they wouldn't have changed it from the comics, because like the comics were pretty standalone,
Yeah.
And
again,
Killing
you
Joke
talk
is,
about.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You talk about a book that is incredibly revered and people know really well, and that was when I was concerned when they talked about adapting it, because I'm like, man, I feel like you don't have a ton of wiggle room with that one, because it is so well known and such a specific story, and I thought it was a foolish move on their part to do that. So yeah, I didn't think it paid off well. Yeah.
It's like I thought if you cut that part out, it was a good movie. Like it was a shorter movie, but it held up pretty well exactly to what the book was. But then once you added that part in, it made everything just kind of like questionable of sorts. Like I get that they were trying to make Batgirl more sympathetic, so when she got, spoiler alert, shot, like it would make you feel bad. Okay,
but like she literally gets shot and paralyzed. At what point do you need a character to be more sympathetic? Than paralyzed?
But like they had to be like, oh, like we gotta show how human she is and all this stuff. And it's like, Batgirl's story is pretty well in the annals of history. Like people know basically what's going on. Like it's not like she's the Floronic Man.
I mean, that's the story I really want to hear. All right, so let me roll back in chat. There's a whole bunch. Okay, so Kia Creations was saying it was actually Code Lyoko. I'm not sure. Rainmaker tried to reboot the Reboot series, but then they got the Barbie movie franchise and the company got bought out. Also, Oleander34 says, Doc, with 3 hearts.
Oh, hello! Hello, Governor!
Dell says, so Tucker said in an AMA, Bruce Willis came up to me on the first day of shooting, looked at my office and said, do you know this could ruin your career? Then Luke Besson yelled, action before I had a chance to quit, and I'm so glad he did. Yeah, that sounds about right. Aw, raiding party. Hello, raiders. I'm sorry, I missed the raid. Also, hi, Gozer. Welcome. Yeah. Yes, and also, Dell, I am here for the Batgirl in Nightwing. I've always enjoyed that. Even though he had a mullet, I was still here for it. Still enjoyed it. So, yeah. So thank you, raiders. I'm sorry, I have so many different things going.
That really tone-deaf hookup in the Killing Joke film was pretty much universally hated. Like
that kind of felt that was it again, because I go to a lot, like I have a lot of friends that are either in the comic industry or do that, and asking them stuff about that, like it's just nobody liked it.
Steve in chat goes, do we really want to get into the comics argument with me here?
No arguing, Steve. This is a happy fun times place.
Wait, is Steve trying to argue that it was a good thing for Batman and Batgirl to like? You can't argue that.
That's what he's arguing.
Okay.
I think he's just stirring the pot.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he's just. Is he stirring the jambalaya pot? Oh.
Jambalaya.
Oh yes, Del. Can we all have cookies? Mommy Del, can we all have cookies?
Cookies, please.
Please. Yeah. But yes. For some reason, I was thinking with the happy fun times, that maybe jump to like Death to Smoochie, and I was like, oh no, but not happy times like that. Like actual happy times. It got real dark.
Rainbow Randolph!
Oh, also scrolling back, Nicole, Guardian Randy said he likes your layout.
If you scroll further down, you'll see that I responded to it.
Nope.
No.
I said thank you.
I'm not gonna lie. Half the time whenever I hear Randall's name, I just randomly my head associates it with Rainbow Randolph from that movie. I'm just like Rainbow Randolph. That would be an amazing handle name, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't like that name because I remember when I first met him. He was like, we hung out at his place, and he like he was amazing at Flash. Back then, he had these like this anime. Oh yeah. I'm not saying that he's not. He had this anime, like this little anime waitress girl, and I was just like blown away by it. He's like, show me this, and then he had Donkey Konga for the.
Yeah, he did.
For the GameCube, and I'm like, oh my god, like this kid's got everything.
Got talent, Donkey Konga.
Yeah, he knows how to do Flash, and he's got Donkey Konga. Like, yeah. I think I met him like the first day that I was at AIP, and then ended up like I went over to his apartment. His roommates were really goofy. Like we were sitting there, and then they come in and they're like I can't get to my car because there's these guys outside, and I was just like, just go to your car. What's the big deal? He's like, they got a dog, and I'm like, dude, what's the big deal? And like they're super scared of like. They were afraid they were going to get mugged or something. I'm like, I'll go with you to your car. Like, I don't care. It's not. I was like, they're just people. Like, it's just suburban people. Like, I know that AIP's in like the dorms were in an awful neighborhood, but like, yeah, they were super scared. I'm just like, oh man, like just go.
I mean, you say awful. Honestly, if you walked across the park, you could go to the XXX Theater. So, I mean, quality content here.
I mean, I got arrested there a couple years later. I didn't get arrested. I got pulled over by the cops from driving around there. And it was like right after I graduated, and I had a camera, and I was looking to take pictures of the city because it was snowing. So I was going up that hill right there by where it's at.
The north side, yeah.
Yeah, and then like one cop pulled me over, and then like 4 or 5 other cop cars pulled up behind him. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I had like a camera around my neck and a tripod in my like passenger seat, and then they're like, well, just tell us what's going on, like why you're out here and stuff. And I was like, he's like, just tell us, just be honest, and we'll go from there. And I'm like, honestly, it's the first snow of the year, and I was looking to take pictures of like the city. And he's like, I'm gonna need you to step out of the car. and then they searched my car, and they didn't find anything. They were like, what's this? And I was like, it's a camera remote. He's like, what's this? And I was like, that's a pack of gum. Like, it's Orbit gum. And then they opened every piece of the Orbit gum, and I'm just like, man, you're just taking all the gum out. Like, that's clearly gum.
Did you want gum? You can have gum.
Yeah, you could ask for a piece, but then they let me go. But this one officer came up to me, and he was like, the reason why you got pulled over here? And I was like, no. And he's like, you're in Northside, and it's after 8:00, and you've got Ohio plates, and you're white, so you're either buying or selling. I'm like, I lived around here for years. What are you talking about, man?
And then they coerced Doc into shooting an entire charity calendar.
Yep. But I was just like, oh man, like this is goofy.
See, in my brain, that turned into the cops just doing Nightmare Before Christmas and be like, "What's this? What's this?"
Yeah. Well, they gave up after a little while, like searching my car, because at the time, like I had so many bags of trash in my back seat, and they were searching all of them, and it was just old McDonald's bags, and they were searching through all of them, trying to see if there was like some drugs in one of the things, and they're like sitting there like looking through them. They got through about half of them, and then they're just like, yeah, we're done. Like there's. This kid might be a mastermind if he's hiding drugs here somewhere. Like,
well, then I just want them to like start shaming you. Like really, man, you should clean your car. Like this.
It's almost like it's almost like that Office episode where he's like, "How many fillet of fishes did you eat?" And it's like, it's over several months worth.
Oh gosh.
What's this? There's ganja in the air.
All right. Let's look at this suit.
Dell says, so tangential to this, one of our favorite YouTube comedians apparently had to do a police interview after a hate crime. What?
Oh,
and one of the cops recognized him. Oh, boy.
Was that local to them? Which I'm not asking you to say, just curious, but... All right,
And Steve says, sounds like those cops don't actually know what a good stop is. That's a harsh critique.
And that inside baseball from Steve. So I'm going to do the play here and like circle it on the whiteboard and like, see right here, this is where you made your first mistake.
Yeah, they ask you to just tell you what you were doing, and you showed them your AIP badge. That's your first mistake. They said, AIP, we've heard of those kids.
Wait, doesn't your school not exist anymore?
Got him.
This was when it still existed.
Their whole like plan is to just dunk on us and be like, wait, so you got an art degree? What? Like, oh, now I'm just sad. Yeah. No, I think the closest I ever came to interactions with Pittsburgh cops were when the Steelers won, was it the Super Bowl? And there were riot cops down on South Side and like helicopters and everything. And I was like, I want to go home right now. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go home. I don't like this.
I remember when the G20 happened in Pittsburgh, and I was still living there. And that was a whole different ball of wax. Like that was, that was some next level. Like they were out in force and heavy.
Well, that's not nice. I'm sure many of them were quite fit.
Well, I mean that too.
I know.
Oh, you don't know. You know nothing.
Uncle Roger was the comedian, apparently. Some guy tried to beat up
Uncle Roger. Oh, I love him. He's the guy that does he's the Asian guy that does the Asian memes, right? He got the chili jam.
You painted such a word picture there.
No, he's this Asian guy. He's this Asian guy that like clearly talks like he doesn't have an accent, but then he mimics his accent really heavily in his YouTube, where he's like Uncle Roger here. Rod, wait, you cooking the rice all wrong. like he mimics it. Like his aunts, like his family members and stuff like that, and it's amazing.
I like when you started that. It was definitely Australian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm horrible with accents.
Put some shrimp on the barbie, and also your rice is wrong.
Put shrimp on the barbie for your California roll. Like, wait, what? I mean, that sounds amazing. Like Outback Steakhouse shrimp, but in a piece of sushi. I'd eat it. Oh, I'm sorry. Steve had asked us to stop talking about food. Or maybe it was Simkin. Someone asked us.
It was Simkin.
Oh, yeah, Simkin.
Steve would never ask us to stop talking about food.
Oh, he's from Malaysia. I'm very sorry, Steve. I would never.
That's where I learned about the term chili jam.
So
is Uncle Roger? I wish. No, apparently it's just some jam with chili in it. And now, like, there's Sonic commercials for bacon jam. Like, there's jam of everything.
Ugh.
Then all of a sudden, my brain just went to snap it to a Slim Jim. I'm like, nope, that's not it. That's not what he said. Nope,
that's not jam.
Why? Why is that there?
Slim Jim Jam.
Slim Jim Jam. It's literally just word association with the Doodle Crew artists for 2 hours, where we're just like, what? Say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Well, like there's also a commercial for this. It was like a health autopsy show or something that was on DirecTV, and they're like Macho Man Randy Savage. What caused this man to, this otherwise fit man to die? And I'm just sitting there thinking, steroids. Like, let's be real. Have you like mystery solved? It's like Rick and Morty quick mysteries. Like, it was steroids. It did it. Here's the knife. I'm turning myself in.
Do I win? Was it steroids? Do I win? Oh gosh.
Ooh, yeah, snap into a cardiac arrest.
yeah. It's like that guy. There's no way you couldn't look at him and be like, I'm amazed that guy can still live for as long as he lived.
Steve says bacon jam. Round here, we call that grease. Yes.
Well.
So quick, I'll have us go around again. Guardian Randy asked, what video game art do we have happening across the board today? For those of us who tuned in a bit late, aka me. So we'll go same order that we did before. So starting with you, Nicole. It's looking super cute.
Yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm doing art from a game called Forager, which is actually a pixel art game, but I'm not going to do pixel art. So, yeah.
Which, speaking of Guardian Randy, does incredible pixel art and was toying with the idea of maybe throwing that out as a Doodle Crew thing. And I was like, well, now you're just being mean because you're really good at that. And I'm real crap at that. So maybe you run that one and I just don't participate.
That's like saying, like, let's do a Sailor Moon one and not having him on there.
Oh, we did. We did do the Sailor Moon one. It was lovely.
Yeah, but you probably had him on there, right?
100%. Him and Kristen. Yeah. Because I'm not a crazy person for that. All right,
because they
Joey.
would probably literally have beat you up if you didn't invite them for that one.
Yeah, they would have crashed the internet and been like, I'm sorry, what?
Sorry. And FemV from Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm JoJoing it up a little bit. And I zoomed in so that you could see the detail because it's a little shaky right now because of the black on white. But
yeah. It looks great, though. I'm also very jealous because my little T-Rex arms don't let me pose like that, and I'm bummed about it. But it looks cool. Yeah, there's definitely, like, moves that we do at the gym where they're like, yeah, and then just reach over. And I was like, but I can't. But I can't. But I was like, there's stuff in the front in the way.
You're like grabbing your elbow to push your arm over.
Yeah. I was like, no, I got it. I got. Oh, okay. Yeah. Little T-Rex arms. Sarah, what are you working on?
I'm working on regret. For some reason, I thought I should do all the original Smash Brothers characters wailing on each other, and that is a layout nightmare.
Yeah, when you said you were going to do all of them, I'm like, man, that is unless she got 5 times faster, that is a rough. Even just lighting it out, that'd be rough.
I think I'll get it, but it's not going to be like inked or anything. But I'm drawing regret.
Yes, but nothing has changed about Sarah's ability to get it done, so I know it will be done. I just always worry about her mental sanity during the process. All right. And Aaron, who are you working on?
I am working on Junkrat from Overwatch because I'm working on an Overwatch crossover, and so I'm practicing my Overwatch characters and poses because I'm going to mash him up with the comedian from Watchmen.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have him for the comedian, and Rorschach is going to be Reaper. Those are the two that I've kind of definitively locked down. The other ones, I don't know yet.
I haven't played Overwatch in a minute, but I was all about that Junkrat life when I did.
Oh, yeah, I was too. I haven't played it in a little while, too. I know there's a bunch of new characters, and my friends that still play it are like, oh, you should mash this guy up. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know who that guy is, and so I want to use, the original cast members to try and mash it up. So, I'm still kind of torn as to, Dr. Manhattan and other guys like that who...
Yeah. No, I at the time I didn't have availability to play it, but I drooled a lot over the art design for it.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, it's so pretty. Oh, so Simkin in chat says Sigma for Doc. I'm assuming Doc Manhattan.
Sigma.
It's one of the newer characters.
Okay. Well, because people told me Doomfist. That's what some of my new friends told me. But, I haven't played since, who was the one chick that came out? The first chick, she was a healer with, a hood. That was the last time I had played.
Oh, Anya.
Yeah, that was the last time I had really played. I think that's it.
Yeah. So
I might have to use some, but I'd like to try and use characters that aren't, that were part of the original cast. If I can figure it out, I just gotta. I mean, they had a bunch of characters, so it's mainly just a matter of kind of trying to fit them into that role.
Yeah. Well, and you want them to be I think part of making the clever mashups is finding characters that match well with the characters, and you don't want to just force it in because I was like, well, I need this character in here, but it doesn't really make sense for the person crossing over.
It's for chat who wasn't in here, I'll zoom out and show this is a recent one that I did of Sesame Street Fighters and trying to match up the colors mixed with the characters mixed with everything else. So I used the base for Street Fighter 2, the layout, but then I also added the Count as M. Bison because it worked too well. But other than that,
that was just too good of a mashup. Too good.
Oh. He who is Steve says Wolverine Moana mashup, gimme. Don't tempt him, he might. Also, if you throw money at us, I mean we're pretty easy to be accommodating.
we are I will be a woman of the night anytime you throw money at me. I have drawn some weird stuff for people before from cons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've had Sailor Moon with a plunger on her butt. And then, the kid never even gave me his address to send it. He paid me, but then, and I sent him a screenshot, and I'm like, okay, I need to know where to send it. And then, he never emailed me back, and I'm just like, maybe the screenshot was enough.
Crazy as shit. I've had that happen so many times. It's I text the person, I'm like, your commission's done, come pick it up. And they're like, oh, I already left.
But
because this one was one of the ones that I didn't think I was gonna. I wasn't gonna. It was at Heroes Con, and I wasn't gonna be able to get it done in time. So I was like, I'll draw it, and then I'll send you a picture of it, and then you can confirm it, and then I'll mail it to you. And yeah, just never came back and never sent me his email, sent me an email back. And this kid was heavy into the fan fiction. He sat there for an hour talking to me about fan fiction that he had wrote about different cartoons and stuff and all this. And I'm just trying to be nice, but I'm like, man, that's cool that you're thinking of this, but man, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I really, I don't want to be I don't care, but really, yeah. It's cool concept. I like that you told me about it, but I don't need you to recite it to me. All 16 volumes from your DeviantArt.
Well, and here's our PSA to the audience. Plunger Butt Sailor Moon Kid, if you're out there, your art still exists. Hit up Doc Springer for it, but also anybody who writes fan fiction, make sure you see Aaron when he is at convention because he wants to hear from you.
I want you to tell me all about it all the time, everything. I need to hear about all of your fan fiction and your darkest secrets.
You should definitely print out everything you've ever written on Tumblr and bring it with you.
Yeah. And then sit there and make me read it while you're reciting.
Read it to him, because you're going to need to be drawing while he's doing that. Yeah. Oh, yes, please perform it.
I remember this one. I had this little kid that came up at the Pittsburgh Con. Actually, he came up he was probably I don't know, maybe 14 or something. And he was real kind of shy. He was wanting about a commission, and he asked how much it would cost, and I told him what I normally charge, and then he was like, I've only got $10, and I was like, you know what, I'm bored and I don't have anything going on right now. I'll draw you. What do you want? I'll draw you a quick sketch or something for $10. And he told me this character. It was he told me the name of the thing, and I didn't know what it was, but I was like, I can draw it. I don't care what it is. I'll draw it. And then I looked it up, and it was it was an Undertale fan fiction of a fan-made game of Undertale strippers.
Okay.
And so it was a skeleton strip. It was called Underlust or something. And I looked it up, and I'm just is this the guy you want me to draw a skeleton stripper with a feather boa? And he just yeah. And I could tell the whole time that he didn't want his mom to know that he was he was so embarrassed. But I'm just I'll draw for you. I don't care. You can go home and look at it and feel fancy. Whatever
That's
kids
a wonderful way of describing what he would go home and do with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down with it. You want me to draw you dark secrets that you can't find on the internet? Pay me money, I will do it.
Yeah, I can be bought. It's okay.
Yep.
But also, feather boas do make you feel fancy. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, it was a very sexy skeleton.
Oh. I'm sorry, Steve's comment just broke me a little bit. Guardian Randy makes an excellent point. I value my sanity more than money. I mean, the exception to that rule. Yeah, there have been a couple of times where I have actually turned down a commission, but I've also I took this on. I was like, oh, I maybe regret this for my sanity points are diminishing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I sometimes will base my pricing around my pricing is not hard and fast, and nobody looks at signs that you put at your table anyways. So if they immediately, even if you have signs that say this is how much it costs for a commission, nobody reads that. So nobody, they just come up and say, how much does it cost for a commission? So if they give me, I'm well, it costs. Tell me what you want first. Let's discuss this. And if it sounds like something that is just going to be cancer to draw, I'm you know what, $100. And then I had somebody pay me once with doing that, and I'm just son of, oh my gosh,
I should have gone higher.
Yeah. And then the guy, it was for a book cover, and I read part of this book, and it was rough. Let's just he was touting it up as he's going to be the next George Lucas.
Weird flex, but all right.
Yeah, and he was George Lucas was a hack, blah blah blah, and he was Yeah, he was all about that.
Wait, he's going to be the next George Lucas?
Yeah,
George Lucas is a hack?
Yeah, George Lucas is a hack, but he's going to be the next one, only he's going to be legit, and he's not going to sell out and all this stuff. And it like the premise of it, which was funny, like my friend Carrie had to break it down pretty fast, is that like Earth was becoming like part of there was some galactic federation, and Earth was going to be taken over because of its access to diamonds and how it had a bunch of hidden diamonds in the core. And Carrie's like, they do realize that you can make diamonds, right? Like,
don't shatter the illusion.
Yeah, Carrie's like, you can make diamonds. They don't need to invade Earth for diamonds. Like, we can make them. We can make them now. And yeah,
we have the technology.
Yeah, so it was all about that. And then this guy, like, he wanted to meet face to face to talk about this cover, like, every day. And I'm like, dude, like, let's just email back and forth. I'll send you pictures and like shots as I do them. But like, I don't feel like, I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't feel like driving to town every single day to basically listen to you talk about stuff. Like I will draw what you need me to draw based on the schedule that we agreed upon, and then we can go from there. And he got like super upset after a while because I wouldn't meet him like at the comic shop, and the comic shop's like a half hour away. And he was like, yeah, let's meet and talk about this. And I was like, just text, man. Like, this is the new age. Like, we've got text. And so I did the one for him, and he wasn't a big, like, he didn't like it. He was kind of angry at it. And so he's like, yeah, like, even though I sent him proof shots basically every half hour, essentially, of what I was doing, and he approved them. But then at the end, he's like, yeah, I don't really like that. Like, I don't want to pay for the other one, even though he'd already paid for it. I wasn't going to give him his money back, but other people were like, just give him his money back and be done with it. And I'm like, okay, I guess. But, yeah, he went on, like, Facebook and started bashing, like, anonymously bashing, like, working with an artist to this writers group. And he was like, yeah, I'm looking for an artist and blah, 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 and going on to it. And this fellow writer that we know from the comic shop actually was reading it and went into the comic shop and was talking about it. And my buddy's like, yeah, he was talking about Doc, because Doc was the one that was doing that for him. And then he was like, apparently all the writers like, yeah, you should have just like texted with him. You don't have to meet with him every day. Like, this is 2018 at the time or something like that. Like,
okay, yeah, people three things. One, for those working digitally, save reminder.
Who saves?
Two, I think, and this is something I didn't realize until I worked as a graphic designer, like at a company. It was less what I was dealing with at convention, but it was I don't think that a lot of people know how to talk with artists. And I think because they themselves are not artistic, it's hard to feel confident that you're expressing your vision as well as you would like. So there's some, like, I need to just keep telling you more information because I'm worried that I'm not making myself clear. Like, I spent a lot of time at that job, like, teaching people how to be better design clients. Like, okay, like, here are things that are helpful to me. But if you just tell me that you want it to pop, that doesn't actually tell me anything.
Yeah.
That is not helpful.
Pop,
yeah,
pop.
Yeah.
Like a pop, pop, pop. Yes. Also, I think, and I started to realize this, like, part of
Edge drop shadow. There we go.
Emboss that shit. Emboss.
Starlight.
Yeah. I think when it comes to, like, my table at Comic-Con, I think because part of the idea is that I want people to be, it to be visually appealing, I think there's an overwhelming nature to, like, you walk up and there's so much to absorb that I think they just kind of get, like, blindness to reading, like, more specific signs. And so, like, yeah, I just assume that I'm going to have to tell people my pricing because I was like, there's a lot happening in this little 6-foot space. So
yeah, everybody always asks the price, like, no matter how you live. And it's the same thing with other artists I've talked to too. It's like, no matter what or how big you put your pricing, like, they will still come up and try and ask you. It's just it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
That, like, no matter what you put, like, originally, before I had, like, the full-sized ones that I did now, I used to have, like, smaller like thumbnail size to show so I could add more onto a backdrop. But the amount of people that came up and tried to order thumbnail size prints, when I had like 4 signs that all said all prints are 11 by 17, and the amount of people that are like they acted like it was McDonald's. They're like, I'll take two smalls and 3 larges.
Like,
and I'm just like,
no.
yeah, I'm like, they're all the larges. All of them are the larges.
Only
don't do
supersize.
Yeah.
Only
No
supersize.
substitutions. Yeah, what I think was interesting too is I noticed, like, again, years and years ago when we were at Comic-Con, there was still a surprising number of people who would come and talk to me at my table who it was their first show or one of their first shows. Like, I think as the popularity and the accessibility of that culture kind of permeated into regular people, like, so I think there's that little bit of like social anxiety, nervousness about approaching a table and just being like, I don't actually know how this goes. Which I get.
Yeah, and like there were some real there's always a bunch of, like, I always love the kids that come up and, you know, like, because I do the mashups. I've mainly worked it out so that I do mashups and then I do wrestling stuff, because not a lot of people do wrestling stuff, and even though I'm not as into it as I used to be, I still keep up with the culture and stuff enough, because I've noticed this. There have been people that have tried to basically be a catch-all, and they try and do every single thing. Instead of like specializing in an area, they try to basically have prints of everything that you can possibly imagine. But like, wrestling fans are a unique variety, because like, if you go up and try and buy some stuff for wrestling, like, you need to know what you're talking about. You need to, like, if you go up and start talking about how great John Cena is, then like, they're probably the wrestling fans are going to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, everybody boosts John Cena.
But
like,
he's so pretty.
Well, I mean, that's true, but like, he's popular with the children. Like, he's a children's fan. But like the adults, like the actual fans that would normally spend money are like, you know, John Cena and Brock Lesnar are not popular characters. So you got to kind of know the ins and outs of it. And a lot of these people that just do the catch-alls, like, you can tell, it's almost like the video game and anime things where people just do the anime because it's very popular and they try and make money. And it's like, you can't, like you can, some people can do that for a while, but if they try and talk to you about it, like, you know, you can't sit there and just shoot the breeze with them. They won't, you won't be able to keep up, and they can kind of tell that you're a fraud.
And I think it's if you put it out there as something that you have drawn, it indicates to the fans that it's something you enjoy, and I think they want to talk about that with you. So, you know, there are times, and it's usually, I find it more in commissions because I'm an incredibly selfish artist, and most of the art I make is, I was like, I want to draw this, so that's what I drew. But like, when they'll ask me like, oh, like, I think I got a commission for a very specific Yu-Gi-Oh character, and I was like, I don't know it. I will be looking up pictures online, but also, like, you can tell me why this character is important to you, because I don't know, and that's okay. Like, it means something to you and you like my style, we can find a happy medium. But yeah, there's times where I was like, oh, I really, again, when it came to Overwatch, I really want to draw Overwatch because they're so pretty, but I have not played it and I don't know any of these characters. Oh, okay. I'll just draw my own and keep it in my own sketchbook. Hide it away. I miss conventions so much. Like, we're talking about all this, I'm just like, I want to see the people. I want to be where the people are.
Where the people are.
I want to be the very best.
I want to see the people, even you. Yes, you, the weird one. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that person that's wearing the outfit that's way too small. Like, yes, I want to see all the Harley Quinns.
All the Harley Quinns. Please. Please more. The cat won't let me dress her up like Harley yet. Yet.
Yet. Let.
Yet. Oh, poor Vera. I always think of, I enjoy the stand-up comedian Eliza Schlesinger, and she talks about how, like, you know, being alone at home with her dog, and like, one day you will be my wife. And I was like, if anybody saw us during this time, they would be really worried. I was like, that's fair. That's a fair assessment of this situation. Also, yes, Steve has excellent rules for treating people like pretty ladies. Take them out to a nice dinner, call them pretty. Guardian Randy also says, I'm not a lady, but I also enjoy those things. And Steve says, don't have to be a lady to get treated like one. So, yes. So Dell says, do you want to smell all the people? You know, I mean,
yes.
Not actively, but kind of, yeah.
I kind of wish that they had a convention, like midday convention perfume that you could just spray on. Yeah. No, just like this smells like a midday convention. Like a candle, maybe.
Like the year at Twin Tiers where the air conditioning broke.
Or
oh
Pittsburgh.
My God.
Or Pittsburgh where they did that too.
Yep, I've been to a few shows where there was no air conditioning. I'm like, this is too many humans in a small place without air circulation.
Or the guy that dressed up as the Punisher at Pittsburgh that had the real gun.
Oh, yeah.
What?
He was walking around with a real AR.
Oh, gosh. Please don't just... PSA to everybody, please don't bring real guns to convention. Thank you. Thank you.
We had the guy at Twin Tiers that did Nick Fury and did blackface. Remember that?
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yep, I was like, oh, buddy, no. There's a white one. You could be the white one.
You can be David Hasselhoff if you want.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I mean, you could still be Sam Jackson, Nick Fury. You don't have to blackface to do it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot tone deaf. A lot. Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, I think, going forward. And I think it was when we were talking about like Dragon Con and plans for that like there's part of me that is still considering wearing my mask for certain aspects of it, just because I was like, honestly, I've really enjoyed not getting sick for the last year. Yeah. So to kind of like up that, like, especially if I get like a cute mask that matches, like,
yeah. Plus the whole, I don't feel like showing my face today.
I mean, yes.
Everybody can be a character from Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Whenever you want.
Mask on, tits out. Ready.
That's a catchphrase.
So Steve says, I bought an airsoft for a cosplay in NOLA, and the guards flipped out on me because it looked like a real Glock. Yeah, I could... And it's got to be tough, especially for characters that have a lot of weaponry, you know, to want them to look like they match with your costume and everything, but at a certain point, like, making it look a little too real is...
Barrel plugs is the answer.
That sounds dirty when you say it.
Yeah.
Plug my barrel, daddy. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Well, it's also like anybody who brings a weapon, like a melee weapon, as part of their cosplay. Mm-hmm. And then the cons always are like, well, if it's not foam, I've got to piece loop it. And if it actually has an edge, get the hell out. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. That's one thing I will say with all the cosplays that I'm considering. I'm like, does this character have a backpack? Could they have a backpack? Where will I put my shit? That's what I want to know. Can I have pockets? I need pockets. Yeah.
Well, it's a con too.
Just do a Rob Liefeld character.
Pouches.
There will be pockets.
I do have really tiny feet, so that would work.
Pouches and no ankles.
No ankles. Oh, gosh.
I feel like to do a really good Rob Liefeld cosplay, you would have to carry a panel around with you that you could block your hands and feet behind for photo ops.
Oh my gosh, for every picture that you get ready, you just stick your hands behind your back or like stick them in your pocket.
Just
That would
always
be
pose and
funny.
set your frame up so nobody can see your hands and feet.
Oh my god, that would be so good. Oh, I love it. I'm tempted. Maybe for one of our local shows. Just be like, nope, and hidden. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, Oh, God.
If I can be a little catty for a moment, one of my favorite Twitter interactions was when somebody asked him, like, when you look back on some of your earlier work, you know, how do you feel about the progress you've made in, you know, in the years since? And he goes, when I look back on my earlier work, I think about how iconic those characters are and how much money I've made. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I was like, holy.
Yeah, there's some saltiness there.
I'm just like, dude, you're an artist. It's okay to admit that you've grown in the last 25, 30 years.
Do you think he was doubling down on the fact that like he's gotten so much like sass and hate, or do you think he's just a dick?
I think from everything I've heard, he's a dick.
Yeah, I think he's a dick. I think he's an egomaniac. You can kind of tell. Like it doesn't help that he created Deadpool, and Deadpool became easily the most iconic Marvel character in years. And then he also created all those Image characters that are just different shades of Deadpool. But yeah.
Oh, Aaron, that's a new fanfic for you. 50 Shades of Deadpool.
Oh my.
I'd read it.
It's just Wade seducing himself.
You know he would. He would treat totally himself like a pretty lady. He would. Oh gosh. It's too good.
Yeah, that's always the interesting thing with some of those iconic artists, right? Like, you see them in interviews, and sometimes they're...
Kevin Eastman?
I don't know anything about it, like how he is. Is he also...
Yeah, he's one of those.
I like, Aaron, that you've got, like, artist Tourette's. Like, Paul starts to say it, and he's like, wait, Kevin Eastman, I know this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know about the dick artists. I know all about the dick artists.
Well, it's like McFarlane, when you see him in interviews, like, he comes across a little bit like it sometimes, but sometimes I think that's just because he's really passionate and, like, awkward.
I don't think McFarlane's, like, he doesn't seem like as much of a... As I know people that, like, know him and have met him, and he seems like a much more genuine than... You know, I've heard Frank Miller's rough.
Yeah. Well, Frank Miller kind of went through that, he grew up and turned against everything that he used to originally be for.
Yeah.
You know, like, the tone and theming of all of his early work is completely not who he is today. It's kind of unfortunate. Sorry, go ahead, Em.
You made a good point, and it was something, again, not Frank Miller related, but some of the artists, like, I think we forget... honestly, it's the same thing I think we expect of, like, professional athletes. Like, because you are so good at this thing, you will also be good as, we'll say, quote unquote, an entertainer or an interviewee or something. Like, you will have a good, like, public persona. And especially when it comes to artists, I'm like, no, we're like socially awkward weirdos. A lot of us, like, to have the expectation that we're also going to be engaging and interesting to talk to is not always the case.
I mean, I don't care if they're easy, like, good, like, well, good to talk to. I just would rather not meet somebody that's just a complete jerk.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
like, if your whole life is if your whole life is spent in the public eye, you know, as a fan icon, I would much rather you be more like Stan Lee than Frank Miller, as, like, you know, as an example.
Yeah.
I think the one that really stands out to me is a writer rather than an artist, but like Alan Moore. Yeah. He hates everything.
Yeah, he's a crazy pants.
Hates everything that's ever been done with his work, hates everybody who likes his work. Like,
that's the same way with Miller. Like, I know people that have gone to get autographs by him, and no matter what it is, they'll be like, oh, I really loved this that you did in Dark Knight or in 300. He's like, that was shit. That was awful. And they're just like, oh, I really love this. Oh, that was fucking garbage. Like, he just constantly, anything that you... Yeah, that's what's always the rough.
Those are the ones that always surprise me. I'm like, why do you still go to the shows? Like, if you don't want to hear that, if you don't want to interact with the fans, why go?
He goes because he gets $100 an autograph.
Yeah. You kind of get that with the celebs that do the con circuit sometimes too. Like some of them are fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of them are just like, F you pay me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Money,
like,
please.
Yeah, like I heard like Lou Ferrigno, for example. I saw a story on Reddit one time. Somebody went to a con where like it wasn't super busy, which happens sometimes. When you're not at like, you know, New York or SD Comic Con, like you can have lulls where like you're at your booth to get people to come buy autographs and not have anybody there for a while. Mm-hmm. And so somebody was just like, oh, hey, I really loved you when I was growing up or whatever. And he's like, you want a picture? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, cool. And he's like, all right, $50.
Yeah.
And it was like, this person's pouring out that like they loved watching you as a kid. They're not asking for anything. And your response is to offer to sell them a picture, a selfie. Okay.
I remember I was at Wizard World, and there's this kid next to me that he had more balls than I will ever have in my life, because he had made this Walking Dead painting, and we were right next to the exit that like the celebrities would take to get out, and Michael Rooker comes walking by, and he goes up to him, and he basically just sells his, like, he sells it, takes a picture with like holding his artwork, gets Michael Rooker to sign it for free, and then proceeds to like take pictures with like I think Mike Tyson was there, and he went up and had Mike Tyson like hold his book up and made it look like Mike Tyson, like on his Twitter, made it look like Mike Tyson bought his book from him. Like the dude was a legend. Like he just like no fear, just is like, hey, Michael Rooker, look at this. I drew this picture of you, and then got a picture with him and his autograph, and didn't pay anything because he was walking to the exit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude was legend.
So I remember, so an artist that I liked a lot was Adam Hughes. And I remember talking to him once at a show, and it was talking about, like, I think I had him sign something for me, and I asked him to personalize it to me, because a lot of the stuff that, like, I was like, no, I want it to say my name on it. And, you know, it had come off the heels of him not doing as many commissions anymore. And he's like, because it kind of, like, at a certain point, after I've done 20 of them, and 19 of them have ended up on eBay and resold for, like, $2,000, it's like I don't have it in me anymore. And it was heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, that sucks. Like, I get it. It's a really talented person. You know, you only paid $500 for it, and you can resell it, sure, but why? Like,
yeah, a lot of those artists like that too. Like I've noticed with autographs, because I went and got like Simon Beasley to sign a Lobo comic that I had. And he would charge you if you just wanted the autograph, but he wouldn't charge you if you had it personalized to you, because of the resale market on stuff.
Yeah.
Hooray for having a super common name. Sorry.
Hooray! Well, and I know, like, guys, especially with people who don't, oh, wow. My brain just stopped. I'm sorry. I was going to say, people who don't charge for their autographs necessarily, I know, like, I think it was Brian Stelfreeze, when Black Panther came out, and it was right around the movie, and he's doing all of this stuff. Like, there were guys who would come up with, like, 10 copies of each issue to get signed, and you're like, I know you're not just doing that for you. So, like, those would get charged, but you've got, like, you know, like the one little guy who's got just his one issue that's already been opened. Like, that one I'm going to sign and not charge you. And it was just like, again, read the room, guys. Also, if you're going to pay, you should pay for this autograph, because you're going to sell it and you're going to make the money, and he's not going to get that, aside from, you know, what percentage he got from.
Yeah, and those, like, he probably got next to nothing in comparison for what, you know, the cultural impact was.
So, like,
he's also a super nice guy. Sorry.
As an artist or a writer, would you be more excited to sign like a dog-eared copy of a comic or something that you worked on that just like you can tell has been read like 1,000 times, and that person genuinely loves that piece of art, you know?
Yeah.
That just seems like it would be so much more awesome to me.
Plus, like, I know, so like I had gotten this from this one comic shop that I do. Like, the guy was real weird about any kind of comics that weren't like wholesome comics of sorts. He got a whole bunch of art books and stuff in, and they were like, some of them were Frank Cho art books and stuff. And if you know Frank Cho, he loves his ladies. And so he ended up selling me this whole big bunch of them for like $5. And I took one of those books to a show to get signed by him, because he's one of the artists that, you know, he doesn't charge anything for signatures. And he saw that book and he was like, "Oh my God, like, this is, you know, like I haven't seen this book in years." And he was like genuinely excited. He's like, "This is this has been out of print for like 15 years."
That's awesome.
But again, you know, you go back to the Rob Liefeld thing, and the, you know, to have someone go up in line and say, you know, obviously I'm still a fan of yours today because I'm coming to see you, but like, this was the one that got me excited about your work or excited about this character. And like, I've read it a ton. Like, I have to imagine, at least for me, like, that would mean more. Like, even if I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. Like, I was so bad at the time, but like, the fact that it meant something to you, that's more important and more exciting to me than I think the other stuff are just like, yep, I bought this. Like, yeah, like, I want my art to mean something to you.
So I feel like there's got to be a level of awkwardness for some of the artists. Like, in particular, I think of somebody like Jim Lee, right? He's done iconic Marvel, iconic DC, was one of the founders of Image. What do you bring up to him at a con to have him sign? And is it awkward for him because he's, you know, signing all this work from different eras of his career where like there was all this tension going on or whatever? Well, I just wonder about that sometimes.
I can't say to that, but I can say what you bring up to him if you run into him in an elevator. Because at Baltimore, he was in my hotel, like he was in our hotel elevator when we were going down. He was going to the steakhouse, and we were just like me and my buddies, like Mick and Carrie, were there, and we're just like, "Hey Jim, how's it going?" He's like, "Hey," we're like, "Yeah," and like he's like, "Yeah, I run a comic shop." Like, my buddy's like says a little bit, "I run a comic shop in Parkersburg, West Virginia," and he was like, "Oh yeah, I love the state of Virginia." Like, there's a fair amount of people that don't realize that West Virginia is an actual state. They just think that it's in the Western Virginia. So he was like, "Oh, that's cool, thanks." And we're just like, "Keep up the good work."
Again, going back to, like, we think they're super cool and they're actually super awkward.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was cool. I get like a little bit of an insider look because I know I'm pretty good friends with Buzz, and Buzz is he runs with Neil Adams, and like my best friend was his apprentice. And so I'm always talking, like, hearing about him or talking to him or about him. And so he did a lot of work for Vampirella in the early years, and he worked on like X-Force and some of the X Factor and some of the covers and all sorts of stuff. So I get to hear like little insider tidbits and tips and so, like, things that happened, and get to see these weird interactions with artists and like how they interact with each other. And it's oftentimes just, at least with him, it's amazing because he has this like, I don't give no fucks given attitude. So like one time he was telling me about this Disney artist that he knew that was at the con, and he was like, "Yeah, he's right up at the front. Like, I'll go ahead and show." Like, and I went and I was like, I couldn't find him, and he's like, "Here, I'll go with you." And so he goes up there, and then the guy is talking to this other artist. Apparently, they're working on a commission. It was the artist that does the zombies at all the convention shows that did like the Marvel Zombies covers. And apparently him and Buzz don't get along too well. and they were doing commissions. And Buzz goes over, and he had been talking about this guy. He was like, "Yeah, this guy draws amazing still lifes." And then he's like, he's got this picture of a masturbating frog, and I was like, "What?" And it's just a frog it's a still life of a stuffed frog that's like bent over, and everything that Buzz sees, he instantly thinks of as like some sort of sexual reference. So he was just like, he's like, that frog looks like it's sad after it got done masturbating. And so the guy is standing there with his wife trying to do this commission, and Buzz goes over right next to him, and he's like, he's pointing at me, and he's like, "See, there's the masturbating frog. There he is. He's sad." And then Buzz is like, "I gotta go up to the green room real quick. I'll see you later." So I'm standing there talking, like looking at this guy, and Buzz just leaves, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Doc." Yeah. And the guy's looking at him. The guy, I'm like, and the other guy ends up leaving, and I was like, "Yeah, Buzz told me that you did still lifes, and then he wanted to show me this frog," and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Buzz comments on all my Facebook things," and he just puts the most ridiculous, stupid stuff about how it's like it looks like it's fapping or something like that. He's just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, I'm like, well, I really didn't expect for that to happen, and like the guy's wife is sitting there, and the guy's wife doesn't know what to think at all, and I'm just like. And eventually we get to the point where like we start talking about art and stuff like that. But I was just like, oh my god, like this is the most awkward like introduction conversation that I've ever had. Where you're just like, yeah, there's a masturbating frog. Okay, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I feel for the spouses and the couples who get brought along who are not a part of the world. Like there's times like waiting in line while someone's signing something and like talking to their significant other. She's be like, "Yeah, I work in accounting. Like, but this is fun." I'm just like, oh, this is a long weekend for you. Oh my gosh. So Guardian Randy says, "Aaron, you okay over there, buddy? You need some water or maybe some air?" Yeah. Again, moral of this whole long thing is I miss conventions and I'm excited for the world.
I love I will say that I love hearing the story, like just the stories from Buzz about all the artists. So he's telling me this stuff that like apparently in the 90s there was this big art collective of like comic artists like Alex, like it was in Chicago. And like Buzz lived in New York, and he would fly out to Chicago every weekend because like he would crash on Alex Ross's couch along with a couple of others, like sometimes Glenn Fabry and like all these other guys, and they would all go on Thursdays to play volleyball. Like it was this big, huge artist collective in Chicago that would all go, like, you know, just big, huge names in comics would go and they'd all get really drunk the night before, then go play volleyball the next day. Like every week, like clockwork. And it's just like, yeah, it just blows my mind. It cracks me up. You're just sitting there thinking like, you know, these guys that do this amazingly masterful work, and they just like the amount of that, and then like the amount of times they get drunk, like it blows my mind, all the art.
Yeah, there are many things I don't mind doing hungover. Playing volleyball, not one of them.
Yeah, they do that, and then I talk to him about like he just tells me stories about working in the industry, and the industry sounds so ridiculous. Like it sounds like a non-real life thing. Like I can't believe that a lot more people didn't get jobs in it compared to what it used to be. Because like he was telling me about Mark Teixeira, who did like a lot of the Ghost Rider artwork in the 90s and stuff like that. And he was telling me a story about how he was at I think it was the Marvel Studios at one point, and Buzz was going in to work on something, and Mark was notoriously bad. He would oftentimes get really hungover and then not come to work. And so at one point they said that they locked him in, like the studio executive, like the head of it, which at the time was Brian Azzarello, or no, it was Jimmy Palmiotti was the one that was the executive at the time. They basically locked Mark in a room with like an airbrush because he was supposed to do this cover for Ghost Rider. They locked him in the room, and they're like, you know, we'll come get you, because he would just go off and get drunk every once in a while. So then they come back a couple hours later, and like they heard him the whole time because they heard the airbrush compressor running on and off, and they go in, and the airbrush has a rubber band wrapped around it, and the window is open. He had gone out the fire escape and left. And I'm just like, how? Like these are supposed to be the professionals of the industry, and they're like sneaking off like some weird James Bond like madness. And it cracks me up and blows my mind at the same time that it's like these are the people that made our beloved comics, like, and they're doing these ridiculous things. Like it just yeah. That's I love hearing stories about stuff like that.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah. He said he had said like he's this weird like mastermind of not workingism. Because I know at one point, Carrie, like, because Mark likes going to the cons, but a lot of the time they won't invite him because he's had a bad history of not showing up and stuff. And so, like, we've seen him at cons a couple times, and like he seems like a really nice guy, but he's also. I know Carrie went up and got him to sign like a Jonah Hex, and when Carrie mentioned he was going to like, because we were doing a, we were in Indiana, I think, and then Carrie mentioned something about going to Baltimore, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to the Baltimore con?" He's like, "Here, I'll go ahead," and he drew a sketch cover. Like he drew a quick sketch on the outside of the bag of the comic for him. Like why the bag? I don't know, but he drew it there, and he's like, "Tell the people of Baltimore to like that you want to see me, like that I want to, like, you want me to be there, like let them know, like advertising stuff." And it's just like it's funny, but it's just like at the same time it's kind of sad that you know. Because some of them have, you know, like a lot of them have bad drinking problems. So I mean, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, like, you know, kind of awkwardly amazing too. Just the run-ins you have with people.
To be fair, after 2021, I judge no one for their drinking problem.
Yeah.
That makes me think of the like stand-up comedian scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like because like all the American stand-ups have podcasts and stuff now, and they guest on each other's podcasts, so you get to hear all these inside baseball stories, and it's just absolute insanity. Like these people are as deranged as you would think they are.
Yeah.
Based on their work, but also like there's all this drama and infighting, you know, behind the scenes, and like substance abuse, and it's just wall-to-wall insanity.
Well, and I think, like you were saying with the substances, like the ability, and I know Patton Oswalt talks about it on one of his stand-ups. He was actually like physically sick, and you get like that, like trying to power through and getting like that performance thing where like, okay, for 20 minutes I can suck it up and not be sick and stuff like that. So like the ability to go through all of that, to probably be stoned out of your mind or hungover or all that, still go on and perform and then go back to partying. You know, it's the same with the rock stars. I'm like, you know, you hear Santana talk about how, you know, he's on so much LSD at Woodstock that he thought like his guitar was alive. And I'm like, and yet you still played amazingly. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, like, you hear about it with like rock stars where like they're so drugged up and boozed out that like they hose them down, put them out on stage, they perform for an hour.
Yeah, the Ozzy, like if you watch the Ozzy Osbourne when they're talking about the Black Sabbath days, and he said that they would literally carry cereal boxes filled with Coke in trench coats and trench coat pockets, and they would just like pour them into a bowl and then slam their head into the bowl and then just suck in air, and that was how they would do cocaine.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that he's living on cocaine. Like that's his lifeblood right now. Like just the remnants of cocaine has taken over more than anything else. That's how that man is still alive.
Yeah, but also I remember, you know, again, when they had the TV show with him and he is just this mumbling, shuffling mess. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to do coke. I'm okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he's a mumbling, shuffling mess. Like no doubt. But I think the only reason why he's still alive is that they're like his body is just surviving off of something that he's found, through all that cocaine use.
It's chemically supercharged.
Yeah. Not mentally. Like mentally, he's gone and checked out, and he should be dead. But somehow he's found this weird kind of a thing with all these different chemicals that are somehow keeping him alive.
It's Keith Richards, where I'm just like, can we study him? He's gonna live forever. He's more jug now than man. I want to know.
Yeah, I do wonder how some of those really hardcore partying rock stars that have aged have managed to navigate it. Nicole and I were talking about this recently. We were talking about Keith Richards and then also Mick Jagger. He had a kid recently.
Wow.
I mean, he didn't have the kid, but he sired yet another child relatively recently, and he is ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah, how can he bang uglies without breaking hips?
It's just, it's remarkable. And you do wonder if they haven't literally just pickled their organs somehow.
Yeah.
If they're halfway to mummification through substance abuse.
Oh gosh, who was it? So there's a podcast that I really enjoy called Disgraceland, and it talks about it'll highlight an artist or a band and go through, and a lot of it is the bad stuff that they got into, or with the Stones, the Stones are insane, and their concert at Ultima where there were people who died, and I highly recommend it. It's really well done. It's highly produced. But there was one, and the musician is called Big Lurch. He was a rapper. I didn't know him, but he used to lace his joints with formaldehyde. Oh, and man. So he's literally getting high off of embalming, the amount, he ends up his content warning, his episode is not good. He does a lot of really bad stuff. But going into the amount of what that actually does to you when you smoke formaldehyde, I was like, oh no, that's terrible. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Some people really subscribe to that idea that it's better to burn out than
fade away.
Yeah. I'm okay with the fade. I'm all right with the slow fade. Good. I'm okay. That's good. Well, and it's a topic I want to bring to in addition at some point, because you've got Steph who, writes and creates plays and does that. And with me, the art is the, do you need to be chemically enhanced to create good art? And, that kind of conversation where I was like, I do think some of these people make incredible music and art when they are chemically enhanced, but do you think they get to that same point without doing that? Or is it they used that to cope enough in order to get the art out of their head? I'm curious about that, because I had a number of people who were always like, oh man, you should do mushrooms and then make art. And I was like, but I just like making art as is. Are you telling me my art's not good and I need to be stoned in order to, okay. So yes.
That reminds me of an episode of Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll where the lead character is known for having a drug problem, and his adult daughter that he just met is like, you gotta stop doing the blow. But then when he sits down sober, he just cannot write music at all. And I think some people are actually like that.
Yeah. Which, that has to be so scary to have that in you and not be able to tap into it. That would be terrifying to me. Okay. Oh, and so switching over, Guardian Randy would like to see Sarah Will's progress.
Oh,
Kristen
man.
also. Yes, we want to do a mental health check on Sarah. All right, wait. Oh my gosh!
We're all in there.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
That looks so dope, though.
What? Luigi's taking a nap.
Oh my gosh!
It's sleepy time.
Oh, I can't remember his name. Is it? It's not Nemo. What's the little bat boy?
Ness.
Ness.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is so fun. Oh, big shout out to Goldine. Oh my gosh, that looks
I just
so
added
cool.
that like 2 seconds before you asked me to show.
Oh, that looks great. That is so fun. Well done, you.
Thanks. Slightly less regret.
Hooray! He's only mostly dead. And also, so Stray Toast, which is just super fun to say. Thank you. Welcome, Stray Toast. Chemically enhanced or completely uninhibited. And I think that's a good distinction, because I think you could get to a point where, let's say alcohol, like you just lower your inhibitions enough to be completely free. But in my idea for the pitch would be like, do you need to be on psychotropic drugs in order to create, stuff like was being performed at Woodstock, or, incredible art? Or do you need to be chemically imbalanced like Van Gogh to create something like that? Do you need to have some sort of substance issue to create?
I don't know.
Art?
I've never actually drank alcohol other than one time, or done any kind of drugs. I'm pretty just goofy as it is. Like I one time at a wedding last year was the first time I'd had alcohol, and it was because somebody had spiked the punch. They'd spiked all the punch. I saw like 2 things, and I'm like, oh, okay. But like it didn't affect me at all, because I had only had 1 glass, and then like I didn't notice anything. And then somebody was like, yeah, there's rum in that one, and I was just like, what about the other one? They were like, there's moonshine in that one, and I was like, oh, so they're both spiked? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, there's that then. But I mean, it's more just one of those things where I'm just like, like every person has to make a decision for themselves. Me personally, some of my family, like not all of them, but like some of them have had substance abuse issues, and so I've never really wanted to dive down that hole. Not that I feel like other people can't do it and handle it. Like, it's just one of those things, or that I judge people that do. It's just one of those things where I just feel like, each person kind of has to. Me, I'm more like to like I do a lot of stupid stuff too, like everybody does. But like I would like to at least have like the stupid things that I do with my life be decisions for me, kind of a thing. But again, it's just it's unique to the person, and everybody has to make that choice. So I mean, I don't think that you have to be like on any kind of mind altering substances to necessarily do good artwork. I think that if anything, it may enhance, like because I've seen some incredible stuff done on it. So I think it might enhance it, but at the same time, it also makes it good. But it only makes it good like the level of control. It's more just a freeform thing versus a like a controlled, like you know what you want to create and you create it. Versus, At least that's my thought.
Well, and I think you touched on something that I think is really important, and I think if you or people related to you have substance abuse issues, like it's going to impact how you view stuff like that, and either push you towards it in falling in line and doing that, or push you in the opposite direction. And I think that's an important part. Also, He Who Is Steve says, Sarah, your drawing makes me want to turn on the GameCube and smash a bro.
Awesome.
Mission accomplished.
So,
actually have to punch out. Because I have to go to work this afternoon. So.
Joey's been smashed. All right,
KO'd.
All right, but it looks so cool. And unlike Rob Liefeld, you drew 2 hands, They're hands on purpose.
Dude, I applaud the mantis blade. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's I spent a lot of time there. Usually I'd be farther along at this point, but
that turned out great. Okay, so quick before you head out and rejoin the real world, let people know where to find you and
all right,
where they can see this when it's done.
Yes. You can find me everywhere online at Flutie Mage. I will also be continuing this Thursday night at 7 o'clock when I host my first art stream.
Yay!
Right here on Twitch. So you'll be able to catch me there. And then Thursday morning, you'll get a preview to that on Slaying Dragons in the Morning. Which is the pop culture show that I host with my buddy Hunter.
Now, are you doing on your own stream or on the Slaying Dragons stream?
It will be on the twitch.tv/Flutie Mage channel.
All right. But yeah, if you aren't already following Joey and want to check that out, definitely give that a follow so you know when he's live and doing art stuff, which is awesome.
And hopefully we'll finish this up Thursday night, and I'll see some of you there.
Heck yeah! Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Shoot me a line. I am definitely down to do more Doodle Crews.
Yay! Awesome. Well, good luck. Good luck interacting with the general public. Godspeed.
Thank you.
Doodle Cruise just sounds like something that you would pay money to go on the ocean for.
Exactly.
It's the Doodle Cruise.
It's the Doodle Cruise.
Now I'm just imagining a cruise ship full of basic white girls with wine and easels.
I mean, all I hear is
Swan is
print my own money is what I just heard.
Yeah, Swan is putting it together in her mind right now. She's like, how do I facilitate this?
I could do that. I have wine and easels.
Just need a boat.
And we can get somebody to make boat sounds. Once you threw a couple glasses of wine, you don't care if it's not a real boat.
This is true. You'll get motion sick either way. Oh, God. Oh, right. Thank you, Joey.
Goodbye, everybody. Yep.
Bye.
Oh, my goodness.
So to double back to what we were just talking about before Joey had to leave, regarding substances and art, one of the artists that pops into my mind immediately is Alex Grey. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with him, but he's probably most famous for doing like some of the album and promotional art for Tool, the band.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And his work is very, very much like fueled by, I believe he's done a fair amount of DMT, which is, your hard trip basically.
Yep.
But I don't think it's like a party thing. It's more of a spiritual journey, controlled experience type.
I've heard people doing that. Like I knew somebody. So like I knew this one girl that like we dated for approximately 2 days, and then she had used acid as a spiritual journey, and then realized when she had some sort of a weird trip that like this guy from really far away who didn't live around here anymore was her soulmate and stuff. So, but I've heard that like people use acid for the same kind of thing where they're like, I'm going to take it and learn about myself. And like, I'm kind of skeptical, but I mean, maybe there is something to it.
Yeah. 'Cause like DMT has been used in like indigenous and aboriginal like spirit journeys for millennia, and there's like a shared common experience for people who have had those deep trips where they've seen like these really intense and vibrant visualizations. Mm-hmm. And so Alex Grey in particular is one of the artists that really puts that to canvas. And I don't know that his art could have been achieved without it.
Yeah. No, and especially like when you said Tool, I was like, oh, I can 100% see that. Like that makes perfect sense in my brain. Also, I will admit that when you first said that, my brain immediately went to DDT, and I was like, wait, he took the pesticide? And then I got very confused. I'm back. I understand now. I'm back on the same page. Yeah. Don't do pesticides, kids. That's bad.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
Especially not that one.
Especially that one. There's a book about it if you are curious. If you want to get real depressed.
Yeah.
Paul, did you have to read that one in school?
Which one is it?
Silent Spring.
No.
I never had to.
Yeah, that one I missed. I just know it was one that was like in the curriculum for a while. Again, not a happy book, but
No, I had other traumatic things like Of Mice and Men. The rabbits, George. The rabbits.
We just had the let's see, there was like the Crucible and then To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yep.
Which I like both of those. Yeah. The one that really scarred me, I mean, well, honestly, it was the summer before I went into AP US history, and I had to read The Jungle, The Grapes of Wrath, and then the one that really messed me up, which was The Confessions of Nat Turner. That's not a happy book. Yeah, Slaying Dragons in the Morning. Joey had to go to his big boy job, so we had to let him go. Sorry, we miss him already. But hey, heard happy fun times that he's going to finish that drawing Thursday night on stream. More art streams, yay! So, yeah, The Jungle, not a fun, like, totally understand, like, good book, understood why it was written, all of that. I got super, super sick that summer after reading that, and I was like, it's unsettling. But yeah, you know, it's shock value for specific reasons because things were really not okay in meatpacking and non-unionized work. So
yeah, it is interesting to hear how disparate high school curriculums can be. Some can be absolutely brutal and like, we're going to show you all the worst art, like not worst quality, but worst, like soul draining, world crushing art. And other schools are like, let's just lightly gloss over most of this.
Yeah, that was me. I was part of the gloss generation. They, I mean, it was more important to talk about, like, you know, well, the Future Farmers of America was like one of the biggest organizations where I was from, and so like the easiest way to describe it is that we had to drive your tractor to school day.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that kind of says everything you need to know.
Yep, I love it. In the town that I'm in, which is also the town I grew up in, so the town itself has 10,000 people. Like, we're not big. But at the time, there were 2 high schools, and the one in town, quote unquote, was the city school. And then the one that I went to, which is the other one that serviced all of the smaller communities around there, was like the farm school. And like, I just look at it now, I was like, oh my gosh, like, we're not that, like, we have cow farms and stuff, and we have farming agriculture in the community, but I was like, we're literally like 10 miles apart. Like, there's not actually that big of a difference between the 2 schools, but it was just funny to me that it was like, no, that's the country school. And I'm like, is it though?
Yeah, you don't really know the country school. Yeah, it's like that's not the country school. When you have cow pastures that like waft into your windows and it just smells like poop. Like,
relatable.
Yeah, that's more country.
I was getting flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks of growing up in a farming community.
Tell you what, though, after years of having horses, like, I will shovel horse manure all day. I don't want to touch cow manure. It smells so much worse.
Oh, it's so
much worse. I'm like, nope, do it. I'll take horses.
Without going into graphic detail, horse manure lumps and clumps, and cow manure just doesn't.
Nope.
It plops.
And splotches? Like,
yeah, it's like somebody just like takes a bunch of old pudding and like just pours it on the ground.
Yeah, it's like a sundae that you ordered 10 minutes ago. Like, it's just the worst. Once it's dried, it's fine. Like that, it's easy to shovel and everything. But when it's fresh, I used to hate cleaning the barn. All right, so I grew up on a small farm, a small dairy. Like, we only had like maybe 10, 15 cows at the most at any given time. But we would shovel in the winter when they were in the barn, and you'd be going along, you'd be like scraping all the dry poop, and then one of the ladies would be like, "Now's the time to do it fresh," and so you'd get the waft of like, "Oh wait, oh no," and you turn around, there's a tail up in the air, and then the violent plops, and you're just like, "Oh."
Oh, that's like a terrible Violent Femmes cover band. The
New band name, yeah.
Oh, oh, yeah. Puts blister in the sun and a whole new. They just sing about like really terrible, like gross things, like medical things. Oh God. Oh, sad. Oh, sorry, Violent Femmes. You're lovely.
Yeah. The worst thing about horse manure is that they love to hide it. They'll do it and then they kick it into the corners and stuff. So you gotta be sneaky.
We were lucky. So we only, at the most, we had 3 Percherons, we had a quarter horse, and we had a pony at one point. Pony was the worst because he's just an asshole.
Ponies are really variable most of the time.
They're awful. I was like, give me miniature horse all day long. Ponies are dickheads. But obviously, big horses, big poops. The way the stalls and the manger and the barn was laid out, like there was kind of like a spot they would go and make a deposit before entering into their stall. So it was kind of collected, but we also were lucky that we had a lot of wide open pasture. So if they were going to go and do it out and about, we're like, fertilizer, free fertilizer. You do you. Good. Don't need to shovel that.
Yeah.
Good times.
All I can think of is wide open spaces. Oh, what did I step in?
Yeah, but again, obviously I was partial to horses because we had horses, but they're neat creatures. Like they have a lot of personality, and the ones we had were a lot of fun. Like I liked them a lot. We had them for a number of years while I was growing up, so I was very attached to them. But yeah, they're just neat. They're neat animals.
Yeah, we had 2 ponies and then a horse for most of my growing up, and then the cows would cycle in and out. So yeah, it's a thing. If you grow up in a farm community, grow up shoveling manure, there's some deep-seated trauma.
No, I missed it. I'm sorry. Were they milk cows or beef cows?
Milk cows.
Awesome. Del says, well, Soapbox Clots, what do you expect a prey animal to do? Leave their predators aside?
I mean, horses don't really have predators. I mean, sort of, but not really.
Not really.
You haven't lived till you've seen a horse give the business to, a dog that oversteps its bounds.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're...
Farm dogs will show you how you should treat horses. They show tremendous respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we give them
a
wide berth.
Yep. Oh, that enormous 1,000-pound machine of hoof and gnashing teeth. No, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's funny because, I think there's an understanding that obviously horses have teeth, but I don't think people realize how intense that can be, and you have to be careful and mindful of it because you could really get hurt if they bite you. It sounds so strange, but
yeah, whenever I see people introduce kids to horses, there's always this desire to give them a piece of apple or something to feed to them to make the horse be friendly. But I'm like, you're playing a very dangerous game right now.
Keep your palm very flat and keep your fingers together.
Yep.
I learned that very early on. I mean, with me, it wasn't a horse, it was a donkey, but essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Donkeys are awesome because they will straight up destroy predators. They're the best farm guard dogs.
Yeah. And they're work. They will just work.
Yep. Yeah. They're super aggressive towards, predators and stuff trying to sneak in.
I think they have cute faces.
They do.
They do. And fuzzy noses, which all creatures should have, if at all possible.
Steve says, horse, is that one of them cars with legs?
I recently had to draw a fight scene for one of my comics and realized how much in common a fight scene has with a sex scene. And I just sent a picture of the Smash fight to my friend, and he was like, so at first I wasn't sure if it was a Smash Bros. Brawl or if it was a Smash orgy. And I went, oh, no.
Or if they were smashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that comment came up too, and I was like, oh.
Oh, no. Oh yeah, Del. Geese and swans, big time mean. Like they will mess you up.
Dangy.
Yeah, they're not friendly. Oh my goodness.
So Swan, there was the topic that I really wanted to talk about with you on a stream. I'm going to bring it up now. Do you recall all that, the tasty tidbits I was sending you about that magic artist drama?
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Oh, so it's for anyone who's not in the know. I did post it in Swan's Discord though, so if anybody read the article, they probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the artist Jason Felix, who is an established artist for Wizards of the Coast for Magic the Gathering,
He has done like 245.
Yeah, he's done an insane amount of cards. He's worked for them for over a decade, and he's done some really iconic work, like a really strong, steady relationship. This guy has quote unquote made it. And so they have this promotional series of alternate art cards in the new set that's coming out. And the art that he did legitimately lifted fan art. Like essentially, I don't know if he traced it or if he shopped it in and then just
it looks like he traced it.
Yeah. But it very clearly was stolen fan art. And then on top of that, in the same piece, because it's two dragons facing off against each other, he steals another established magic artist's work as well and does the same thing.
I didn't know he did it again.
It's in the same piece.
That other dragon. I didn't know that other dragon was stolen too.
Yeah, that's the other dragon is Ujin, the spirit dragon. I think it was the alternate art.
I remember the Ujin one. Being stolen.
And that's Raymond Swanland, another established magic artist. But the Nicole Bolas in that same piece of art was fan art.
Okay. The Nicole Bolas was the one I was thinking of. Yeah. The fan art where he changed the chest because there was a watermark on the chest.
Yep, the deviant art, watermark had to be changed, and
the fingers.
The thing that got him caught was the fingers, because canonically now Nicole Bolas has 5 fingers. And at the time, there was a time when he only had 3, and the fan artist did 3 and didn't realize that his style guide had been updated some years ago. Mm-hmm. And this is what basically got him caught, was that the art is verbatim. Like a fan saw it, like somebody who's familiar with the fan artist's work saw it and told them and was like, "Whoa, your art is on a magic card. This is amazing." And he's like, "What?" I believe it's
that's a trick because I didn't plan that.
And so blew up on Twitter, blew up in the Magic community, like everybody's tweeting at him like, "Dude, are you going to respond to this? Like, this seems pretty blatant, pretty egregious." Because there was a clip made of somebody going in Photoshop and superimposing Scary Pet's art and just like tilting it a little bit, and it lines up perfectly. And it's just like, it's so obviously just slightly altered.
Yeah, watching that GIF was a little bit heartbreaking. I was just like, "Oh my God, you're watching them do it, and it just hurts me."
Yeah. So of course Wizards had to respond, and it happened over a weekend, so they didn't get to respond until Monday. And they basically said that they were going to suspend their relationship with the artist while they like investigated what was going on and everything. They weren't going to commission anything new. And then finally, a few days after that, he tweeted that he admitted it. He said that he was backlogged and he needed to get the piece out. And that he was going to compensate both Swanland and the fan artist, Scary Pet. And it was just like, it's such a wild ride for about a week there, where I was just like, I cannot believe somebody with 200 odd official art pieces commissioned.
That, in my opinion, that makes me question all pieces of his art.
Oh, and that's what a lot of people in the community were saying. They're like, so if you did this for this, how often have you done this? Mm-hmm. Becomes the real question. And there's extra layers of irony. In particular, the fact that his Twitter profile says a creator of original works. And everybody's like, really though? And a couple days before the controversy broke, he tweeted at another artist and he's like, did they just mint your work here and links to like an auction or something. And we're like, it's interesting that you care about that issue. And then peak irony is he also did the art for cards like Wall of Stolen Identity.
Oh, jeez.
And Duplication Device.
Like, if you wrote this in a story or in a fan fiction, you wouldn't believe it because
people would be like, "This isn't believable."
Yeah, this is too ridiculous. No way. Oh my gosh.
So here's another thing. I've heard from a lot of non-artists about it, but personally, I don't know. There seems to be some sort of a misconception, like at least a couple people that I know, they seem to claim that if you change 30% of a piece of artwork, that it becomes your original. Me personally, looking up stuff, I've never been able to find out any kind of a guideline as to how it can, other than just like eyeballing as to what it, like how much of a piece of, like if you look at something, like how much would be considered enough changed to be your own art, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I heard it was like 50% and then it's considered transformative. And that's important for stuff like, not so much art, but like content, like videos of being like, I want to analyze something. So you need to actually contribute something and not just re-upload something.
Yeah, because like I'm thinking like more of like fan art and stuff like that, where you use an original, like you basically make fan art, like basically if I were to take like an Alex Ross piece and then redraw it or something like that, like how much of it, you know, like and honestly, I can't find any sort of a guideline. If anybody has any.
Well, no, say like the 30% thing floated around for a while, but
I don't buy it.
Kia brings up a thing. It depends on the artist's Creative Commons settings, but also it was kind of one of those like it's what people kept saying, but there wasn't a way. I want to say to prove it, but it wasn't. It was very, very tricky, and it ended up like what is more helpful is when things are falling into, you know, are you trying to make a parody of it? Are you making an homage to it? Or like Nicole said with videos, like if you're critiquing a video and you're not just like, okay, I'm going to, you know, take 35 of the 40-minute episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and then I'm going to show it and then I'm going to say one thing at the end. Like if you're cutting it up and you're dissecting it and you're doing that part of it, like you're changing it enough. But when it comes to the fan art, like I think people took a lot of leniency and a lot of wiggle room with that, and they like you were saying, Paul, with they redrew an artist's work, and it like again that as much as it's a meme now and a thing because of Chasing Amy, like that's tracing. That's not you recreating it. It's not you drawing your own and being inspired by. That's you manipulating someone else's artwork and making something quote unquote new. And that's not the same as making a parody or something else to it.
Well, I feel like so the key important aspect of all this is really, are you trying to monetize it?
Yep.
Right. So if you take somebody's work and trace it or like shop it or whatever you want to do, to like maybe you're doing a character study or something and you're just trying to learn exactly how they did it, and so you're trying to build that muscle memory of their technique and everything. But you're just doing it for you, and maybe you do post it on your Insta or your, you know, DeviantArt or something. If you're not selling it, nobody cares.
Well, and like you said too, like I am all for tracing. It is an incredible tool to help artists learn. It really, really is. But there is a 2-part step to that where, yep, you can find the reference art, you can trace it, and you can post it. But you have to give credit to the artist that you are working off of, and you have to make it clear that this is a trace. This is this is me taking this artwork and making my own of it, but I did not create this. And I think that's where a lot of people are like, well, I don't need to do it because I drew it completely. And I was like, but you didn't initiate the idea. You traced someone else's idea. And while that is an incredible learning tool, you need to have that second step of understanding that it's not yours now.
This kind of brings like an idea that like for the last year, I've been doing a lot of traces of like actual photographs of mainly women, because I was talking to one, like that Buzz's apprentice, my best friend, and she was telling me that Neil Adams had told her when she was asking him about like doing, better stuff, his recommendation was to do just a massive amount of tracing, like real people, until you get the muscle memory down for learning the body forms and shapes. In addition to, like how the stuff that we learned. But so I spent, I probably did like 130, 140 different ones, just enough just to learn the muscle memory and muscle shapes. But like a lot of people are of the mindset that if you trace anything, that it's automatically like, not actual real art, when in reality, like it can be a great tool for learning how to actually draw people correctly. Like I definitely feel as though like my female anatomy structure and stuff has improved greatly by looking, by just constantly doing it and learning the curves and everything else over and over and over again with different photos and stuff like that.
And also, I saw an artist was actually posting about this recently, someone I follow on Instagram, and she was saying that, like, someone had come into her comments and was saying, like, well, you just redrew this photo. And she's like, yes, but it was also a photo that I took. Like, I created the photograph of it that I then used as my reference and drew over. And yes, Steve makes a very, very good point. I look at a lot of women, Doc.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's, again, I always think of the artist Greg Horn, who is a comic artist who is notorious for, we'll say, pulling reference from the adult film community.
Yeah.
And that's where he gets a lot of his faces from. And you're just like, oh, buddy, like, all right, like, you do you. And obviously it works for you. But, it's one of those where it's like, the hope, at least for me and in my mind, and I think in my perfect world, that the reference in that should be a stepping stone. Like at a certain point, you still take the reference photos of you posing in that, but you no longer need to draw over top of them exactly.
Yeah.
Like now that you've taken the photo and you have that to look at, now you can move that and have it in your own style, and you're using it as a tool, not as a crutch.
Yeah. There's been, so in the Magic community, there's been some drama like this in the past. Not quite as egregious as the instance we were just talking about, but a couple of years ago, a different artist took a lot of crap for using a musician as the character reference for the face of a planeswalker for the game, an iconic character. They basically drew the face of Yolandi from D'Antwoord, and like people held up, like they shop the photo next to the piece of work, and it is, they may even have gone so far as to trace it. They may not have, but it's basically a direct reference of a real person's face on the face of a fictional character in an established IP. And I believe they ended their relationship with that artist as well, because they just considered that to be too much. It was a step too far, basically. And it's kind of awkward. It's like, I get why you would use existing material for your reference, but you have to be really careful, because especially in another artist's face, like another creative person's face, it's going to immediately evoke that person to people who are familiar with it. It's going to stand out. So
also at that point, and because you're working for a big company, and again, it comes back to money. It always comes back to money. And I feel like anybody who is a part of that legal team is like, now we are at risk of them suing us because we used their likeness and we didn't pay them for it. And 100%. Whether the artist who was drawn is thrilled and is just excited about it, like that part doesn't matter, because you still did it without their permission. And you now open yourself up to legal issues, and there are smart enough people who can find those instances and
even if they do like it, now that legal team has to go contact that person and be like, would you be willing to sign off on this? So yeah, I totally understand why they would separate their relationship pretty much immediately. It's just a can of worms that no legal department wants to deal with.
No. And it's, again, it's theft and plagiarism is a big deal. And it is a problem. And it's one of those where I feel like anytime you're getting close to anything like that, especially for a larger company, it's going to be so much easier for them to terminate the contract with an artist than even risk possibly something happening.
And similarly, since we're doing video games today as a theme, The Last of Us with Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page, she did not sign off on her likeness being used for a character in a video game. And I recall seeing interviews where they were upset about it. Like they just, because it's a stark resemblance. It's a little different, but not.
I was going to say it doesn't seem like it's kind of close. It's more close than what I think big companies would want.
Yeah.
But I think it's also more distanced enough that she would have a hard time winning it.
Yeah, it's still just area that I don't think you would want to tread into. And also you wouldn't want to sour a potential relationship with an artist in your, because you may want to cast that person later on down the road in something.
Absolutely. Well, also, and then I'm thinking about the video game Until Dawn, where they did actually just rotoscope and motion capture the actual actors. So one of those was no, if you're gonna do it, and or get her voice. Again, pay the artist for their time. If you want her face, negotiate something for her face, or don't use it.
Yeah.
But
Straight Toast. Sorry. Yep. Go. No, you got it. You're the boss.
I got the power. Straight Toast says, I was surprised at Ergo Proxy's protagonist resemblance to Evanescence's Amy Lee. When I first watched it, wondered if they had any trouble with it. That one I don't know. I don't know. Also, again, very iconic face that is well known, especially anybody who was familiar with Evanescence. They came out in the early 2000s. It's been 20 years.
Steve was recently streaming Mass Effect Andromeda, and we got talking about Mass Effect 2 with Yvonne Strahovski. She has a character in the game, but she also did the voicing for it, so I'm sure they paid her for her likeness. But it is her, in the game. She has a different hair color than what everybody recognizes her as having. But
that's the girl that was a bad guy in Dexter's girlfriend in Dexter too, right?
She was the love interest / female protagonist on Chuck. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, same one. Yeah.
She might have been on Dexter. I just didn't see it when she was on.
Yeah, she was the ending protagonist, love interest lady person. Sometimes girlfriend, possibly killer.
I like when Aaron talks about women. She was the thing. Good. The girl thing.
Yeah, she had the stuff and the boobies and...
Booba. Steve says, well, it was definitely supposed to be then Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, originally, and they ended up changing Ellie later.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe Steve knows more about it. Was she at... I'm sorry, I'm not trying to misgender Elliot, who recently transitioned, but yeah, I don't know if maybe they were in talks early on to have their likeness included and then it soured or what, but it seemed weird. Dell says it wasn't Jean Reno in Onimusha 3. I did not know that. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
And Steve says Yvonne Strahovski's butt, while is great, is not Miranda's butt. That's Miranda from Mass Effect 2. Oh boy.
I'm gonna have to see a comparison.
I mean, if you want it, Steve's got the butt stuff. That is his
Steve's a butt stuff man.
He's the butt stuff guy.
Butt stuff is his catchphrase. Yeah. So the other thing that this whole magic artist drama led to is Nicole and I were digging on it, and reading some of the tweets and stuff, and we bumped into the fact that he was really into NFTs, which I mentioned to you, Swan, and you were like, "What are those?"
Oh, NFTs.
Tell me
Which
more.
I wish Simkin was here for, because he has strong feelings about it as somebody who works in. He teaches. He's a college professor who teaches kids to make video games and other narrative design like that, and NFTs it stands for non-fungible
tokens,
which is so ridiculous because they are absolutely fungible technically. It's a digital blockchain cryptocurrency related thing that a lot of artists are infusing into pieces of their work now as a way to like sell digital art for exorbitant prices.
And the problem with it from what I've seen too, is that like you're not actually buying the actual piece of art. You are just buying the blockchain.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, you're buying a quote unquote piece of paper that says, "Hey, you own this piece," but you never actually get to have it physically.
Well, from what I've heard, it's not even like you don't even actually own the piece. You just own the blockchain of the piece. Like other people still own the piece, which is even more absurd to me. Like I could understand if maybe you got rights to the actual artwork, but from everything my understanding with it is you don't even get that. You just get the blockchain, like that says that you've done, like that you own that link, basically.
Mm-hmm. Dell saying SNL did a song about NFTs, and also you're adopting an elephant. We had this conversation on Saturday. She's like, it's like the Zoomer equivalent of when boomers used to buy those certificates that said they adopted an elephant. It's like, you don't actually own the elephant, but you spend a whole bunch of money to claim that you're supporting it or whatever.
I didn't know that you could buy an elephant.
Can
I get a link to this elephant? I want to buy an elephant too.
Okay, but did we watch Tiger King? What did we learn? What did we learn about owning big animals?
I didn't watch Tiger King, but so much of it was memed, I feel like I did.
Yeah, you couldn't. Also, I think that was the weird thing with it being like back to March and early April. Like, it's been a year. And I know, Paul, you had mentioned it, and I loved how you phrased it, where you talk about like Game of Thrones moving out of the collective consciousness so fast. Like, after that last season, like, it was a thing for so long, for so much, like, permeated the market and then just gone. And I feel like not that Tiger King had anywhere near the lasting power, or should have. Like, it was such a huge thing and then gone because of the nature of the pandemic.
Yeah, all anybody could talk about was Joe Exotic and what's the woman's
Carol
name?
Baskin.
Carol Baskin.
I'm sad that that's still in my brain.
A month later, Corona stole that from us too.
No, what I learned from watching it was that you just need to have you don't need to have that many, and if you do, you need to wear really crazy outfits.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's stopping you, Aaron. You can wear crazy outfits now.
I could, but I need to get back into my playing shape if I'm going to do that.
Also, Steve, I love your comment. I'm assuming that's what you were laughing at, Paul.
I was laughing at both of the most recent comments.
Yeah. Oh, and Kia had mentioned something earlier when we were talking about, like, initially when you brought the magic thing to it, for that in the 3D printing world, because I know she does a lot of 3D printing stuff with, getting different designs, and I'll let her talk more on that because that's one I don't know as much about, but I'd be very curious. Like, again, if you're purchasing a design, do you then own that design to do with what you want, or is it a one-time use thing? Like how that is. And also, yeah, I'm here for that. Tune in next time for Aaron and Drag. Like, we'll get Hebe in here. We'll do a whole thing.
Heyo. Hey, I remember I could walk very well in heels in animation class that one time.
You also used to have hair down to your butt, so
I did. Then I got to cut it off on national TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3D printing world is getting very interesting. So, I talk about it in chat all the time, and I talked about it last time I was on with you. I am into the miniature hobby, miniature painting and collecting and stuff. And 3D printing has been a revolution and a revelation
Ew.
amongst that community. But the thing is, there's a lot of drama with pretty much the main company when you think of tabletop miniatures, which is Games Workshop. Warhammer. Because years ago, before 3D printing was even the problem, there were what we refer to as third-party bits and model manufacturers, basically companies making lookalikes and bits and pieces that you could use with your models to customize them and stuff that were like built on the back of GW's IP, but were not authorized, licensed, any of that kind of stuff. Just, I'm going to make Space Marine parts and models and sell them. I'm not going to call them Space Marines because GW will come after me.
They're going to be like universe soldiers.
Yep. I think the most popular one is they're calling them like Sky Legionnaires or something like that nowadays on a lot of the sites.
That's funny.
And it was a really interesting thing. There was a big court case where GW sued at the time the largest manufacturer of them, called Chapter House LLC, Chapter House Studios. And they were pretty egregious with a lot of their infringement. Like, it was very clear what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They sued them. That lawsuit ultimately destroyed that company, but the ramifications of that lawsuit have had widespread impacts because they didn't win on everything that they sued for. They actually lost a number of the elements of that case where the judge basically determined, like, you can't copyright the term Space Marine. It pre-exists your brand. Because it was in science fiction before you used it as an iconic centerpiece to your IP. You can't, basically there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can't copyright certain names.
Like orcs and stuff,
right,
I imagine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Orcs, yep. And so it forced Games Workshop to kind of rebrand their entire line so that everything now has it has its old name that it was before they did this rebranding, and then it has their officially copyrightable, you cannot replicate this name version that is out now. Like Space Marines became Adeptus Astartes, which is like false Latin stuff because they have this whole faux Latin thing going on.
Okay.
Their Dark Eldar, which are dark elves in space, are now called Drukhari, which is like, it's a distinct name that they can trademark and copyright, and you can't advertise something as a Drukhari soldier or something like that. You have to be like Space Elf Torturer or something like that. Steve goes, they're not Space Marines, Eldar, and Tyranids. They're Terrans, Protoss, and Zerg.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting how it impacted this subset of the market for the mini stuff, because it forced GW to completely reapproach how they market and license all their stuff, but it also opened the door for what is allowed. You can make third-party bits now. You just can't advertise them as being for Warhammer. You can't advertise it as being for these factions specifically. You have to be kind of discreet and tongue-in-cheek, but you can do it, and they can't stop you.
Yeah.
Well, I know with at least with the con scene, I know there are people that go to these conventions that basically, like, I know they don't make the models because I've seen the models on basically Thingiverse and other things, and they go to the conventions and they just set up booths where they have 3D printed like mass quantities of these models that other people are making, and then sell them. And it's kind of like it really bothers me, because it's like people put them online, so basically so other people can print them for free to have a good time, but they don't put them online so that people can print them and sell them, like and yeah, that in itself really kind of irks me.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the there's an amazing amount of Kickstarters now of companies that are paying digital sculptors to make models that they can then sell. And they offer licensing now, which is really remarkable. Like, you can buy the STLs for yourself, And and they know that you might print for your friends, you're going to print for yourself, you might print for a couple other people at your store or whatever, but you can actually buy a license through a lot of these companies where you're allowed to sell them officially. Like you're allowed to print for other people and make money off of it, but you paid them for the right to do it, which I think is really interesting.
It's interesting. I wonder how many of these people actually do it, because I have a feeling that a lot of these people at the conventions don't actually do that.
No, yeah. Well, conventions are rife with that kind of stuff,
Yeah. I know, like I mentioned Buzz a lot. I know him and Mark Wade got into a big thing against there's this one group that's called, I'm trying to think of they basically go and they get a bunch of different artists to redraw popular pieces of artwork, and then they sell them under one giant umbrella at these cons. They're, I can't think of what their name is off the top of my head, but I know that he got into a big thing because they were ripping off, popular comic art, of the actual artists.
Mm-hmm.
And the artists actually kind of got together and were this isn't, you didn't do this. And they were like, oh, we're allowed to do, and they would, they have enough clout to go up to the convention producers and be like, these guys can't be here or else you're going to lose a lot of your star power, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I should think so. I mean, it's pretty brazen to rip somebody's art that's going to be at the show that you're at.
Okay, so you want to hear real brazen. So another one, but Buzz was telling me he's an Asian artist, and he was telling me that there was a fake Buzz that was out there, and what it was the way he set up his show. He got rid of his backdrop at the end of San Diego Con, and what he usually does at shows after he's done is he just he works in such a big studio that he'll 3D print, or not 3D print. He'll just print out all of his prints that he's going to use and ship them there. And then instead of shipping them back, he just throws them away, the ones that didn't sell.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, in itself is incredibly wasteful, but that's how a lot of the bigger names do it. They fly out there and then they have their prints there. So he threw his backdrop, and he says he usually rips up, he usually rips them up, but he was in a hurry. So he just threw them all into a dumpster. And apparently somebody actually picked them up and impersonated him because he was at another show and somebody came up to him and was asking him how his commission was. And that he was like, sorry, you're going to have to tell me what the commission actually was. I don't remember doing it. And the guy started in on it. He's like, I don't remember that at all. He's like, what con was this at? And they they told him what it was, and he was like, I was never at that convention. And they were like, well, yeah, they had taken a picture with the guy.
Oh, wow.
And he goes and he goes and he the guy brought the phone up, and he's like, the Buzz stood up and he's like, that guy's a foot shorter than me.
Wow.
He's clearly a foot shorter than me, and the only difference was that, the only similarity was they were both Asian guys. But yeah, the guy took his booth setup that he found and set up at a different convention and took commissions under his name and called him, but he signed his name with 3 Z's instead of 2 Z's. So yeah, so he's known as the fake Buzz. So you want to talk about some brazen, he was going to taking commissions all day long.
That's insane.
Yeah. Acting like he's telling people, taking pictures with people, taking pictures with fans, and he's clearly not him. And the sad thing is that people were just like, oh, Asians look alike, and nobody called him out on it.
I wonder how many of those fans were like, he doesn't look like his pictures online, but am I racist if I say that?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And it blows my mind. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Because he's pretty recognizable. He's a very fit man. He's very fit. So the other guy was just this short Asian. And Buzz is this taller, muscular Asian guy. So it's it's two completely separate people.
Well, and I know for a long time, when I was going to conventions early on, artists didn't always have like they had a social media presence for their art, but not necessarily their photo. So it was, like Del was saying, it was hard sometimes to figure out what an artist actually looked like to find that out. But like, I want to know what his end game was. Like, you have to know that you're not going to be able to get away with this for a while. So do you just like go hard, try and make as much money as you can, hope you don't get caught, and then bounce? Like, what's your plan?
I'm pretty sure his game plan he executed flawlessly, which is he got paid for a bunch of commissions, and Buzz usually charges around $300 a commission. He got paid for a bunch of commissions that then he never did. Like,
yeah. I hate to say it, but like if you just did a couple cons that way, you could make a pretty big chunk.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Yeah, just make sure that you're going to a con that he's not at, and that nobody, and like hope to not run into somebody that knows him.
Actually knows him.
And the next level of genius would be to like book it the same weekend.
Yeah.
But the real Buzz is at a con, so like,
because I know, so like that's the reason why I use the name Doc with mine, is because Aaron Springer is also the name of a writer on SpongeBob. So I pretty early on I noticed like people had mentioned it to me when I was still going to art school. They were like, "Oh wow, you're working on SpongeBob. That's so great. I knew you could do it." And I'm just like, "Thanks, but I'm still in college. That's not me." And he's a writer. So they like I ended up going and so I go by Doc now. But I've still had people at conventions, most notably like Cincinnati. Some kid came up to me and was like, "I've been looking all over for you all weekend." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like, I've been here." And he's like, "Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about SpongeBob." And I was like, "Oh no." and he was like, I was like, I'm not that Aaron Springer. Like, that's a different person. And he was like, "Oh, so what shows do you work on?" And I was like, I don't work on shows. And he's like, "So you just draw these characters?" And like his dad was there with him, and his dad was mortified. And his dad, and like the kid, I think he was autistic too. So like you couldn't just be like, "You're a dumb brazen kid." Like he just honestly, I don't think knew. But it was heartbreaking because he was just like, he's like, "So you don't actually do work on any of these shows?" And I was like, "No, like I don't. I do fan art and stuff like that." And he was just like, he's like, "Why are you here?" kind of a thing. And I'm just like,
why do you exist?
Yeah, thank you, kid. Thank you. There goes my self-esteem for the weekend.
As if independent artists don't struggle with their self-identity.
Yeah. Tell you what, you're never going to get more honest feedback than from kids. They're like, "But wait, so why do you do stuff?" And I'm just like, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I do stuff. I'm so sorry." Just like crawl under the table. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and his dad was like, "No, he does all this stuff." And his dad's trying to help. And I'm sitting there talking to him, like kind of telling him. And he was like, he was trying to, I was talking about the animation aspect because he brought something about animation up. And I was trying to explain to him how, because he was trying to tell me that all shows were done digitally now, and so like why would I still, because I was showing him how like I would draw stuff. I was like, the basics are still the same. You still have like people drawing the stuff and doing it. And he was like, "Yeah, but all the shows are done digitally now, so like they don't." And I'm like, "Well, they still use like the digital, they still use underlying things that the digital aspect just helps with it." And like sitting there trying to explain to him how the properties of animation work, and like the key artists versus other things like that. Oh my gosh. And his dad was very thankful, and like he was just like, "Oh, thank you so much for not just like cursing my son out and banishing him away." But yeah, it was it's not easy sometimes.
Do you even animation, bro?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it is a weird position to be in sometimes at convention, where you take on kind of the mantle of creator and kind of working against people's assumptions about certain things. But yeah, there's also times when I would say people aren't as excited to learn and don't care to get more information on something.
Well, that's why you gotta push it. You gotta push them. Like if they don't want to learn, then they will learn.
Push it.
Del says you had a saint moment, Doc. I mean, honestly, good on you for like realizing, like reading that situation so well and understanding this kid isn't just being mean or crass. He just doesn't understand.
Yeah, he like I could tell that he was at the very. Like I said, I think he was autistic. At the very least, he was like learning disabled. So I wasn't gonna just like snap at him and be like, you're wrong. I tried to explain to him, and he really like he kind of understood and grasped it, but like more than just explaining it to him, his father his father seemed to grasp it, and so like I felt as if like the best case scenario later on when like him and his dad are driving home or something, his dad can explain it better to him than I could, kind of a thing, because his dad got the gist of what I was trying to say and explained to him how like the basics of animation are still the same, and I still do the same stuff that they did. I'm not a writer for SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would be scared about what you would write for SpongeBob.
I mean, it'd just be a lot of poop jokes, probably. It'd be like Teen Titans.
Okay, well, we're in the end game now, but we're in the wrap up time. So we will go around and show and tell about our stuff and do our outros about where people can find you. And I'm actually going to jump you up here. So Sarah, do you want to go first?
Sure.
All right, let's see. Oh, oh my gosh, look at all the babies. Oh my god. Oh, I love the Starfire. It's so good. That's so fun.
Glad I went OG and not Melee, because I don't think I could fit any more characters on this page. But you can find me at my Tumblr and on my website. And I plan on inking and painting this someday, so hopefully it'll be up on the Doodle Crew stuff.
Yeah.
Someday.
But yeah, definitely follow Sarah. Like she said, she's got a whole bunch of comics that she is working on. Again, like a crazy person, which we love. Yeah, and I know I mentioned it earlier, but following Doodle Crew stuff across the internet, and because we get different art from each artist during the stream, we are, I don't want to say behind because it's not behind, but the posting schedule of the Doodle Crew draws page is behind our current episodes, which is awesome for the artists because it gives us time to finish our stuff before it's due to be posted, which I kind of love. So that's awesome. But
on the backlog.
Yeah. Yes. Give us a little bit of cushion. Guardian Ready says that Kirby suction action was on point. I agree.
Phrasing.
I love it. Watch your phraseology, as my mother would say. All right. So thank you. So jumping over to Nicole, if you are ready.
Yes.
Ready. Oh, it's so cute. I can't take it.
So I was mentioning earlier how I didn't want to say what it was. So in the game Forager, there are giant radishes, like the one in this picture, but you get an achievement for killing them. But when you're not interacting with them, they're just like, I love you, you're doing great, yay. But then when you kill them, they're like, why are you doing this to me? So I wanted to, make a peaceful drawing of the character not killing them. So
I love it. Guardian Randy says, those colors are so good. I love the watercolors. Yes, yay. They fit perfectly. Like it just, it has such a zen vibe.
Yeah.
Little happy radish. I love it.
Oh, and you can find me on Twitch and Twitter and Instagram at Mayor Squish, and on my podcast, Crash Test Pilots.
Yay! Especially this Saturday.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're already on Twitch watching us, pop over to twitch.tv/CrashTestPilots and give that a follow right now and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live on Saturday.
Yes, it will be our first time going live with the show.
Heck yeah. Well, and since we're talking about that, Paul, I'm going to jump over to you and let people know where they can find you for your stuff. I know.
Well, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at SoapboxClots, and you can find me on Crash Test Pilots with Nicole, where we watch the first episode of television programs. We kind of treat it a little bit like a book club, where we watch that first episode and we talk about how we thought it was as a pilot and whether we would continue watching the show. And a lot of times one of us has seen more of the show, so we get a little bit of that insight as well. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We just wrapped up season 4, and we're in our little mini season between main seasons right now, where we're covering all things new Doctor Who post-revival. Tomorrow, our episode for the Sarah Jane Adventures will come out, because we looked at the first episode with Eccleston, and then we did Torchwood, and then Class, which we had our friend Bean on for, which was fun. And then we'll do Sarah Jane Adventures, and we will cap it all off with our roundtable this Saturday, 5 Eastern, twitch.tv/Crash Test Pilots, where we will do a 2-hour roundtable with the lovely ladies of In Addition.
Yay!
Yay.
That's me. I'm one of them.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I'm just super stoked to talk New Who, because I enjoy it greatly. Now, do you guys, I meant to ask this earlier and I forgot, do you guys take suggestions for shows? Are you open if people...
Yeah, we do. We're open for suggestion. You can tweet at us, or you can message one of us through Twitch, or if you're in one of the numerous Discords, as we're in a lot of them, like we're in Botched Community, we're in Swans, and so forth. If you have any ideas that you'd love to hear us cover, we are currently building our schedule for next season. So we do 14 episodes in a season. And we have a few ideas, but there's definitely some gaps, so hit us up.
Heck yeah. Yay! All right. And Aaron, where can people find you when you pop your head out of your hole?
When I'm out and actually doing artwork and conventions, they can find me at my website at aarondocSpringer.com or on Twitter at Dr. Art. Or they can catch me outside.
There you go. Yeah. So if you want to see more crazy mashups, definitely follow them there. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Let me switch over so you can see I think I actually finished my piece. Hooray! So this was fun. No, this was fun. This was again, never the conversation I expected to be, but that's kind of what I love about this show. So you can find more of my stuff at A Swan Named Emily. Obviously, if you like to see Doodle Crew stuff, follow here at this Twitch channel. And then if you miss it live, I move all of our episodes over to my YouTube page, which again, as I mentioned, once I reach 100 subscribers, I can rename to A Swan Named Emily and just take over that name everywhere. But yeah, old episodes are up there. Also follow us across the internet at Doodle Crew Draw to see the artwork that's posted. Also, like, we love having people in chat, and we love having suggestions. So if there is art you'd like to see, or different weird challenges that you would like to have us work on, or throw at us, or challenge us with, make us cry, that's always a possibility. But yeah, shout them out to us, because we're always looking for new stuff. And yeah. Thank you, Kristen. I hope that's... Yeah, I had fun with her hair. What? I'm a sucker for a long blonde ponytail. Go figure. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, artists. This was really fun. I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us and drawing and all of that. And a big thank you to Joey, too, for hanging out. But you can catch us the next time we have Doodle Crew coming up. I had it. No, I lost it. On the 24th of this month at 11 a.m. So we've got another Saturday morning cartoons happening. So... not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday. So if you want to see more of that, come and hang out with us then. And if not, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week, too, because it's Monday somehow. But thank you, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.